So that's going to be check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ryan, give me something.
Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Welcome into the Valicente Diamond at Freeman Field here on the South Hill. Parker Holland and Ryan Collins along with you here on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream to present to you. I just realized my mic is all the way up on my head. How rude of me. Welcome in for what will be a thrilling regular season finale for the Ithaca Bombers facing off against the SUNY Brockport Golden Eagles. Ryan, how are you doing today of all days?
I'm doing fantastic, other than the fact that my laptop almost just blew away with how windy it is today, which is ridiculous, but that's definitely going to affect today's game.
Spring weather finally arriving on the South Hill. I, for one, could not be more thrilled about it, but along with the late April sunniness comes what is recorded as 12-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually a little bit higher, considering, yes, your MacBook did in fact just do its best to fly away. That being said, we do have to get into the game today. It is promising to be thrilling. Brockport, the Golden Eagles, an extremely serious team, a real contender as we approach the D3 baseball playoffs. But the Ithaca Bombers, looking to cement themselves, they've clinched their spot as the 1 seed, the hoster of the Liberty League crossover series, What do you think about this matchup today?
I mean, I think this is going to be a great matchup. We're going to have two electrifying offenses. You have the Ithaca Bombers, who is one of the best power-hitting teams. They run the bases well. They bring all the speed. And then you have Brockport, who is arguably maybe the best offensive team in Division III with how well they can hit the ball.
We are getting ready to get started here. It looks like it's going to be an interesting pitching matchup, a bullpen game for both teams, as Danny Drodos and Eric Cervellin are both getting ready to take the mound for their respective teams. Ryan, what does this game look like for two power-hitting teams if it is a bullpen matchup for both sides?
If it's a bullpen matchup, I don't think either one of these teams are going to go too deep into their lineup. There's not too much playoff implications, per se, on this game, because as they are not both these teams are not Liberty League opponents, so it's not going to affect their playoff standings too much. But I think this might just kind of be a momentum builder game, so I can't see these two teams trying to really stretch out anyone if they get in too much trouble. So I could see this game get really high scoring if they're not going to put out their top relievers.
You don't want to see that you don't want to say that a game doesn't matter flatly, but there's no playoff implication for either team. And obviously in the D3 baseball playoffs, there are no at-large bids. So everything ramping up and going into the crossover series this weekend, yeah, I think you're exactly right, Ryan, where this is a game with very little implication, but you can get some good momentum going, and maybe this is a chance to explore your benches, your bullpens, whatever you might need to. But as we get ready to go to the anthem, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your starting lineups, your fielding rotations, and we will be ready to bring you every moment of this game between the Golden Eagles and the Ithaca Bombers. Stay with us here on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream. We welcome you back to Freeman Field here on Ithaca College campus. Parker Holland owner Ryan Collins here for you. And the pitchers are just getting warmed up for the Bomber side of things, so let's take you through the Bombers fielders before the Golden Eagles end up taking the field. At first, behind the dish, you've got Logan Scully. At first base, you've got Ethan Fantel, your double play combination. Connor Peterson at second and Riley Brody at shortstop. Almost said it sixth, Ryan. At third base, you've got Ryan Laubscher. At seventh, I'm going to lose my mind. On left field, you've got Matt Curtis. In center, you've got Colin Feeney. And in right field, you've got Ethan McDonough. Batting for the Brockport Golden Eagles, you're going to have Frank Vanziolata. You've got Josh Indek batting second. Zach Eldred batting third. He's their superstar, Ryan. Ryan Blake in the cleanup spot. He's your left fielder. Jones Story, he is going to be in your 5 spot. James Dixon at the 6. Matt Mayer batting 7th. And then Victor Alongi and Cole, you have to forgive me. Cole Grazia-Plenty going to be in your final spot. He's your DH in the 9 spot, Ryan. You don't see that a whole lot.
No, you don't see that often, but it's something that's unique. Sometimes you want to put that 9. You want that 9 spot to be almost kind of like a second leadoff hitter in a sense, and that might be what Brockport is going here with him in that 9 spot.
If you noticed, I didn't mention one name. Danny Drodos, wearing number 17, is getting the start today. It will be only his 3rd appearance of the year. It'll be his 10th appearance of the year. His 3rd start overall. He's thrown to a 6.45 ERA, has 1 win on the year, no losses, but has shoved a good bit for these Bombers in his 22 and a third innings pitched. So he's going to have a good challenge today, but he might be up for it, Ryan, especially in a game with very low stakes.
And you have to keep in mind, this is also a highly offensive team, so it could be a very difficult outing as well.
Now it is Frank Vanziolata, the center fielder, up to bat first, the first batter that Danny Drodos will face today.
Vanziolata, he's one of their top hitters. He's batting .336 already on the year, which is insane this time of year.
First pitch is a little bit high for ball 1. Delivery from Drodos on the 1-0. Gets him strike 1.
Drodos already throwing the heat.
Something I appreciate early. Sounds like the umps are going to be quite loud on their calls today. So unless the gust of wind takes us, won't be too bad. Checks his swing, still called for strike 2.
And that's something else you have to keep in mind. When umps are loud, that kind of assures the managers and the players that they are confident in their calls.
That one takes a bad bounce right off the plate. The catcher Scully tries to get to it. It bounces over his head, out of play. Luckily, no one on base to take advantage. Bit of a low pitch there from Drodos. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on, strike 3. First out of the game for Drodos as Vanziolata is sent to the bench early on.
Well, if you're hoping for a good start from Drodos, I can't think of a better way to start a game than with a strikeout.
I like to see the speed on that early on. You're not reserving yourself too much, even when you're getting only your 3rd start of the year. That was a absolute fireball. Got him to swing on it, went over the bat pretty nicely. As now up to bat comes the second baseman, Josh Indek.
I mean, if there's a superstar on this team, most likely could be considered him. But there's a lot of superstars in this team, so.
I was going to say, if you're talking superstars, we're going to have to get to the 3rd hitter in the lineup to see that guy. But first pitch is for a ball. Drodos on his delivery with the 1-0 pitch.
Although he may not be the superstar on this team, he'd be a superstar on most teams.
Definitely. Second pitch is high for ball 2. Drodos in a bad count early with his second batter on the day. Indek already drawn 39 walks on the season. He leads the team. 2-0 pitch right down the middle for strike 1. That was a little bit slower, but Indek did not want any of it. He is very, very good at drawing those walks, right?
I mean, that's the name of the game, though. Get on base and set up the next guy, especially when the next guy is Zach Eldridge, the guy we were referring to, the superstar on this team.
2-1 pitch swung on. It gets out of the glove of the second baseman. It's going to go straight to right field. McDonough dealing it back into Peterson. That will hold at first base, but an easy single for Josh Indek. He gets himself into a good count, finds some good contact, and just like you said, Ryan, now he gets to set up Zach Eldred, who might be the best hitter in D3 baseball, on top of being one of the best pitchers.
I mean, just let's go through these stats for a second. .438 batting average, 16 home runs, 65 RBIs. That's no slouch at the plate.
And now he gets to face Danny Drodos. Checks his swing on strike 1.
The only thing that in his stats that he's not solely responsible for is Zach's RBIs, and that's exactly what Zach wanted to do. He got on base to set up Eldridge so he can bring some offense.
0-1 pitch swung on, barely. That's a bit of a sword if you're a pitching ninja fan. Strike 2. And like you said, Ryan, Zach Eldridge, he is an absolute monster in all things hitting. He is first in the Empire 8 in almost everything, first or second in pretty much every stat that you can count. Most importantly, his on-base plus slugging, absolutely disgusting, as the check to first base gets out of the glove of the first baseman Fantel, dribbles into short right field, but ends up being enough to scare the runner at first back. Indek does not end up taking the advantage to get all the way to second.
I mean, that's the kind of thing you want to do. You don't want to let him get to second base, because with Eldridge up at the plate, that could be a very dangerous situation to put him in scoring position without even trying.
As I mentioned about Eldridge, his on-base plus slugging, almost 1.4. He's getting on base pretty much every single time, and if he's not getting on base himself, he's going to hit something for extra bases in a ridiculous fashion. As you mentioned, Ryan, he is first in the Empire 8 in doubles with 13. He is first in the Empire 8 in home runs with 16. He is the definition of a power hitter, and now he draws the count all the way to full after going down early 0-2 in the count.
I mean, that's the type of hitter you want to be. He showed the patience at the plate. Being an 0-2 count will scare most hitters, and now all of a sudden he's in a full count.
Payoff pitch from Drodos is put off by checking back to first. And you can hear from up here the dugout for the Golden Eagles. Very, very loud, very boisterous. This might be a game with no implications. Doesn't mean they don't still want it. As the payoff pitch checks back to first again, and they catch him stealing. That is going to be an easy out for the Bombers. My goodness, is Indek caught stealing. Wow, what a great sequence from Drodos. Takes the play slow, catches the steal, and now he gets a true payoff pitch with a chance to have a completely clean first inning.
I mean, you can't ask for a better inning from Drodos to this point. Caught a runner.
As that is drilled past second base, exact same hit that his teammate just got. This is a quick single for Zach Eldridge that dives right past Peterson.
You don't expect much from Zach, much more than that from Zach Eldridge there. That's exactly what he wanted to do. Once the runner was off the base, he just wants to put the ball in play and get on base, try to set up the next guy. You don't want to do too much.
That caught stealing going to be big for the Bombers and Drodos in particular, as now he does not have to deal with any runners in scoring position. Regardless, you've got your cleanup hitter, Kyle Blake, the left fielder, up. And he's no slouch either as he takes strike 1. Kyle Blake, he's batting, pardon me, Ryan, he's batting .425 on the year. He is one of only three players, along with Eldred, who has started all 35 games of Brockport season so far.
I mean, the one thing Kyle Blake doesn't do for this team as a cleanup hitter is he doesn't really hit home runs. He's got one home run in a stark comparison to Zach Eldred's 16.
But something we started the broadcast with, Ryan, the wind carrying all the way out into deep center field. It's the exact wind that you want, as that is driven ground ball all the way to shortstop. Brody deals, gets it to Fantel in time, and that is a simple, not 1-2-3 inning, but about as clean as you want for a bullpen game. As, pardon me, as Drodos goes, strikeout, single, caught stealing, single, and a simple routine ground play. That will do it for the first half of the first inning. And a very clean one fielding for the Bombers, despite a couple of miscues at the second base spot from Peterson.
I mean, you can't ask for much better from that. I mean, you got the two base runners on. You were able to get rid of the first base runner. The second base runner gets on, and you get the ground out after that. I'm not expecting much better from Drodos. He was probably not going to no-hit this team coming in today, but a clean first inning is a great way to start off this game for the Bombers.
And now, as we flip it, for the Golden Eagles, at your first base spot, you've got Eldred, who we've talked about a lot. Your double play combination is going to be Indek and Alongi. At third base, you've got Dixon. Behind the plate is going to be Mayer. At left field, you've got Blake. In the middle at center field, Vankialata, pardon me. And in the right field spot, you've got Story. And then the pitcher today is going to be Eric Cervellin. He also has not had a ton of action this year, but he's been no slouch. 8 appearances, a singular start, 3 wins on the year, and only a 2.29 ERA. Now, Ryan, that might be in the Empire 8 where stats are a little bit inflated, but that is still extremely solid from a guy who is usually a long relief pitcher.
I mean, if you have your ERA in the 220s, that's a great start, you have to ask me. Anything below 3, honestly, is fantastic, no matter what division you're pitching in.
Absolutely true. And when it comes down to it, he's a guy who can really do it all. Only allowed 13 hits on the year in his 19 and 2/3 innings pitched, has 23 strikeouts to show for it. He's good to strike out at least one guy every single inning, and that is the kind of production you need out of a relief pitcher, especially a guy that you're only needing to get 1 or 2 innings out of every single time he shows up.
Oh, absolutely. Especially one, if he goes 1 or 2 innings and it goes clean, that's perfect. That's all you were asking for, and then you can bring the next guy to further that.
Now, if he's able to get you that full 2-3 innings against a really solid Bombers offense today, that is exactly what you want for Brockport. You've got the Umpire 8 playoffs coming up. This is one of your best seasons in program history, so you would love to be able to get a nice, clean bullpen game. You don't have to waste too many arms, and you get to be as fresh as it comes going into the playoffs. As Colin Feeney, your leadoff hitter today, comes up for the Bombers, and he will be the first to face Cervelin on the day.
This will be the biggest test for him, going through the top of the Bombers order with Feeney, McDonough, and Laney coming up.
Absolutely correct. As we get ready to see the face-off, Cervelin's first pitch of the day. Right down the middle for strike 1. Now, Feeney has had one heck of a season, Ryan. He's batting .338 against a great Liberty League pitching conference, pardon me. He has 33 hits on the year, 7 of them for doubles, 3 of them. Oh, I'm reading Camden Laney's stats for a second, pardon me. 6 doubles and 3 home runs, as that is dinged high and foul all the way behind the fan stands. As Ryan, there is a tempest of bees around us right now. Some honeybee action. I'm glad to see they're still around. I don't love them in our face right now.
I mean, I haven't seen too many bees. They seem to be hovering more around in your area, which I am perfectly fine with.
That's what I get for wearing a brightly colored shirt, as the 0-2 pitch is swung on and has gotten right to the third base spot that's dealt. It's high. The throw was too high for Eldred, who had to jump up to get it as Feeney was crossing the plate. Just a bad throw all around from Dixon, who tried to fire it out in time, ended up putting a little too much under it, and it ends up being a safe single for Feeney.
I'm curious to see how they rule that, because if they rule that as a single, that's a tough single to take as the pitcher. But at the same time, it was a little bit of a tough throw with Feeney running down the line, so it's kind of a hard error to take as well.
With everything being handled properly, I'd have a hard time calling that an error. It was just a bit of a high throw. As they check the pitch all the way to Feeney, they want to make sure he doesn't go anywhere.
And the official scoring was ruled as an error, Parker.
Really? All right. Well, it was a bit of a high throw.
It was a throwing error on the shortstop. Yep.
I can live with that.
But now that sets up the plate for McDonough.
Ethan McDonough takes his first pitch inside. That's going to be for ball 1. McDonough, the right fielder for the Bombers. Pardon me as the wind picks up here. Batting .383, started all 24 games that he's appeared in. Not an everyday player for the Bombers. He's missed a couple games this season. That being said, still been about as effective a slasher as there's been, as they check back to first base again. Cervelin playing very, very slow today, wanting to take his time, set his own pace, and he wants to make sure that Feeney doesn't go anywhere, that he's not wanted.
Although McDonough doesn't start every day, that really hasn't hurt him much at the plate, batting just shy of .400. So I think he's still off to having a great year.
He sits on that one. It's going to be 1-1 on strike 1.
And I also want to point out, though, with the patience he's showing at the plate, taking that pitch, he has 19 walks in the year. That's impressive.
Doesn't quite lead the team. Andrew McDermott, who's not in the lineup today, has his 31. But right behind him, believe it or not, in third place, is Ethan McDonough. As he shows bunt, it ends up rolling foul, as he'll take strike 2 on that. Gets some contact. He's trusting the speed of Feeney, who can be, pardon the pun, an absolute fiend when it comes to stealing bases. On his 31 attempts, he's gotten there 28 times on his attempts. Very, very effective. And that's why they keep checking back to him, Ryan.
I'm not surprised with him trying to play small ball here, trying to bunt the ball down the line, with the speed that he also has at the plate, which he can beat out for a base hit.
Absolutely believe it, especially with the infield playing pretty deep, all things considered, with a power hitter up. As that pitch is taken, it's going to be called ball 2, as the count will go to 2-2. Still a bit in the pitcher's count. That's Cervelin.
And I also think with him trying to bunt there, he may have tried him drawing in the infielders so he could swing away with less of a chance of them being able to corral the ball in the infield.
The 2-2 pitch. He's going to check it back to first again. Really does not want to let any pressure come off of Feeney, who has started taking smaller leads than maybe he usually would.
With him throwing over the first base, though, that's also kind of paying homage to how most series have gone with the Bombers. A lot of opposing pitchers throw to first base to keep these Bombers
Feeney goes for the steal, ends up the check from the catcher goes past, gets all the way to the shortstop, who ends up blocking it in time. But it's going to be a relatively easy stolen base for Feeney as he takes second. And with that pitch being a little bit low, it's actually going to be a full count. Count goes full, for McDonough, as Feeney steals second base, and he takes a nice size lead immediately. You can't take any risks at this point.
But as I was saying, a lot of times you'll see these Bombers run the bases, and they'll...
Swung on, strike three, McDonough's going to go down. You can finish your thought, Ryan. I'm not going to interrupt you.
When a strikeout, something like that happens, I think we should let the listeners know. But I do want to point out, with a lot of the pitchers throwing over to first base over the last series, it shows homage to how fast this Bombers lineup actually is.
Absolutely correct. As up to the plate comes Camden Laney, the designated hitter on the day. He's been battling injury for the past 2 weeks. It's great to see him back in the lineup. Fell out of the Liberty League standings for a lot of those counting stats because of it. Doesn't mean he's been any less effective as a player, and the Bombers thrilled to have him back today as the pitch is checked back to second base. They want to keep that pressure on Laney with him in scoring position now.
They don't want him to take another base because right now they have one out, so a deep fly ball would bring him in. And I wouldn't put it past any of these Bombers to try to take third, too, and playing small ball.
Signals coming from the third base coach as the Bombers look to stay aggressive. It's going to be a big lead from Feeney as the count goes to 0-1 on the first pitch, finally delivered to Laney.
No one holding Feeney really on the bag over there. I may have spoke a little too soon, as they're now almost shadowing him on the bag.
Camden Laney get 33 hits in his 95 at bats. Swings on that one. It's going deep to right center field as that is grabbed by the center fielder. And Vanciolata, my goodness, what a snag. The wind was trying to take it a little bit deeper, but a great, I'd call that a line out. If I had to rule that something, I think that's a lovely line out. Very well fielded by Vanciolata, and that's going to be the second out for Eric Servion.
I mean, that's definitely got to be a line out there, especially with how the wind was carrying that ball almost just past him.
Servion's fourth batter faced will be Ethan Fantel, the first baseman, wearing number 36. He's been an absolute unit for the Bombers. Power hitter of power hitters.
I mean, and Fantel has started the majority of the games this year, too, as he's batting over 400, which makes it so hard to take him out of the lineup.
Yeah, and he ended up being pretty quiet during spring break. Ever since getting back from that trip, though, he's started 17 games, appeared in 26, been taking that first base spot. He's really proven himself and had a double scoring day as Feeney's going to go to steal third, and he's called safe on a great play. A little bit of a slow delivery from Matt Mayer, the catcher. A good delivery from him to the third baseman, just simply not in time. And Feeney gets himself all the way to third base for, as I said, Fantel, a guy who loves to drive runners in. He's got 20 RBIs on the year.
I mean, you can't ask for much more than that with how productive this Bombers lineup is. They all seem to kind of pitch in. With him having 20 RBIs, there's numerous other Bombers with over 20 RBIs.
The 1-2 pitch, the 2-1-1 pitch inside for ball two. Well blocked. It was a little bit wild, but Mayer got himself in front of it. If you get a pitch that's a little too out of control, now you've got a runner on third who would really, really love to steal home.
Take the early lead. That's a great way to start the game if you ask me.
2-1 pitch with 2 outs, an aggressive lead being taken by Feeney. That is swung on, popped up shallow by Fantel. That's going to be fielded in left field. Blake makes the catch, and that is going to do it for the first inning. It's going to end 0-0. Bombers, Golden Eagles, but a good offensive showing by the Bombers. They've got life in their bats early. How will the Golden Eagles respond? We will see when we come back on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream in just a moment.
The wind almost kind of took it past the dude, but the wind is just blowing ridiculously.
Yeah.
If you get a deep fly, like a high fly ball, deep out, it's going to carry out.
It's going right by that 405. What's it say, Justin?
And we are back. I'm still Ryan Collins here with Parker Hollander, and let's get started with the second inning. Still have Drodos on the mound for the Bombers, and leading off the inning is... Excuse me, my papers are blowing all over the place currently. But leading off the inning is Story for Brockport as he takes the ball and strike for the first 2 pitches. And another swing and a miss for strike 2. Drodos so far kind of cruising through this Brockport lineup.
Story can be a little too aggressive. 23 strikeouts on the year already, second on the team. That being said, he's got good power. That's why you leave him in your 5 spot, and he leads off this inning.
Story take a pitch there as you were saying that. And he's hit by the pitch, and it'll get to first base. That's I will say, Drodos has been going through this Brockport lineup fairly well so far, but he has allowed 3 base runners so far.
Yeah, you definitely don't love to see it. That is his 4th hit batter of the year. Just not exactly the situation you want to find yourself in early on in the inning. Now he has to deal with, it was already going to be Dixon and Meyer, but now he also guarantees, without a double play, that Victor Alongi will be up today.
Dixon coming up, takes the ball for the first pitch. And you have Fantel keeping him right on the bag over at first base. Pitch. And he's looking for a bunt there, but he gets the bat back for a ball, too, as it was high.
James Dixon, an incredibly effective player, 7th in the Empire 8 in on-base percentage at .494, 6th in batting average with .394. He loves to get on base, and he loves to advance runners in this deep lineup situation that he finds himself in. So with a guy already on first, it's where he wants to see himself.
Throw to first base, checking on the runner. Something we saw a lot of in the first inning with the Bombers. A lot of throws to first base so far in this game, paying homage to both these teams' speed. And the batter calls a timeout as he looks for the third pitch of the at-bat.
With a 2-0 count, Drodos needs to calm himself down. It's good to take that check to first base. He's got to find a way to get himself back into this count against a Brockport lineup that is very, very good at drawing walks.
Drodos with the pitch, high and away for ball 3. First 3-0 count of the game for Drodos so far.
I love the pop-up by Scully. He was extremely ready. If anything finicky happened with Story, who had just obviously got hit by a pitch, he wants to get some aggression out early. So a great pop-up by Scully to keep him pinned there at first.
Drodos with the pitch. Ball 4. Moving the runner over to second base, putting him in scoring position for the first time today.
4-pitch walk, and Scully's going to go talk to his pitcher, make sure that everything's calmed down, everything's copacetic. With no outs on the board, this is starting to look very familiar to a Rochester game from a couple weeks ago, where you had a relief pitcher in, and you let the game completely get away from you, even though you were in solid position. This is a Brockport team with the colors. I keep wanting to call them Clarkson, but they're definitely Brockport. This is a Brockport team who can really pour it on when they smell blood in the water. And now you've got the bottom of their lineup coming up. One more bad play, and you could end up seeing a Vanziolata or an Indec up again with a lot of runners in scoring position.
Although this is the bottom of the lineup, Meyer is still batting over 300, which is incredible. It shows how good this Brockport offense actually is as he gets ready to take his first pitch of the at-bat. 2 runners on, first and second. Looks for the bunt, drags it down the line, bounces foul as it hits the grass. The runners will have to go back to first base, second base.
Love the follow-through from Mayer, though. Just ran it all the way out to first base just in case it ended up dribbling back in somehow, or Ithaca misplayed it. But Fantel with a great hustle to get to the foul ball just in case. Would have been pretty clean, though, if it had been a fair bunt, Ryan.
Yeah, it would have been a tough play if it stayed fair. Luckily for the Bombers, it took an awkward bounce as it hit the grass and went foul.
Infield playing pretty far in now.
Have to watch that bunt if he tries to advance the runners over. Checking over on the runner at second base. It'll be hard to catch a runner over on the base path with how close up they are playing to the grass.
I'm laughing a little bit. That move from Drodos wasn't an A, B, or C move. Might have been his D move over to the shortstop.
That move wasn't really going to get anyone as he gets ready for the next pitch. Ball was high, and 1-1 count now for the Bombers, and still no outs, and runner in scoring position and runner on first.
Mayer shows bunt again in the 1-1 count. He very aggressively just wants to see if he can dribble this short, but you wonder if he's just trying to trick these two very, very deep infielders now.
Ready for the third pitch of the at-bat. Ball 2. And Drodos starting to seemingly lose control of the strike zone after issuing a 4-pitch walk previously and hitting the first batter.
And bunt is shown again. I'm just keeping my eyes on the batter here because he really, really keeps his glove on that top part of the bat. I don't even know if he wants to swing at all here.
He might just want to move these runners over as he sees the third pitch of the at-bat. Didn't even take it off his shoulders for ball 3 now. 3-1 count.
And Ryan, I think you called it. Drodos barely tickling the top of the strike zone anymore. It's starting to get away from him. These are very high, very consistently.
And that pitch was also almost in the other batter box as it was high and away. Ball 4 to load the bases of nobody out, bringing up Alani.
3 consecutive walks, and it's going to be an Ithaca coach coming out. I'm not sure if this is just going to be a meeting to calm him down or if they're going to call this off after just 1 inning completed and 7 batters faced for Drodos.
The Bombers do have the bullpen going. Not sure who it is quite yet, but the Bombers do have someone working over there just in case this starts to get out of hand.
If I were to guess, that looks like a 16. I think that's John Griffin warming up for the Bombers. He's made 11 appearances this year. Yeah, can confirm. That is number 16 warming right now. It would be John Griffin coming in for the Bombers. He's pitched 16 innings so far this season, allowed 17 hits, and has 22 strikeouts on the year. Very respectable, pardon me. He's a strikeout pitcher. He might be who you want if you need to get out of a jam like this. But they are going to keep going with Drodos for now while they continue to get other guys warmed up. So with bases loaded, he's going to have to face Victor Alongi.
And Alongi, keep in mind, he's a 9-hitter here, but he's a D1 transfer. And another one of the pieces of this Bombers lineup that can almost be a Brockport lineup that can almost be a leadoff hitter here. And as it gets ready for the pitch, bounced the pitch, but all the runners will have to stay in place as Scully was able to find it quite easily. Oh, they're saying it. Are they saying it hit him? I think they're going to discuss it, whether it hit him or not. But as of right now, seemingly they just hit a batter in for the first run of the game.
Looks like they weren't sure about it behind the plate, but the ump at second base really liked the call of him being dinged by that quickly. So preliminarily, they call it back. Behind the plate, ump calls it back. He got a better look at it. But my goodness, Ryan, it did look right off the bat. Like on the first pitch of the at-bat, they walked in first round of the game.
Things are getting a little shaky here for Drodos after walking the last 2 batters and hitting the first one. Now bases loaded count, almost hit his second batter of the inning to bring in the first run of the game.
He's not a great situation for the Bombers in a 1-0 count. Bases still loaded, and some aggressive leads being taken.
And another aggressive hitter at the plate, too, of Alongi here. Alongi swing and a miss for strike 1, and that was a very needed strike for Drodos.
Talking about those Empire 8 stats, Victor Alongi, 5th in the Empire 8 in batting average. He's slashing .400 on the year coming into today. Absolute monster. Not a lot of extra base contact, not a lot of power, only 7 doubles and a singular home run, but 17 run RBIs.
Alongi puts the ball in play just over third base to bring in the first 2 runs of the game, and Alongi will stop at first, and with a runner on second base as well.
First 2 runners of the game will score against Drodos as Story and Dixon come in on what is a gorgeous single to right field. Mayer's going to only advance to second as it was right down the left field line. It gets brought right back into play. But my goodness, as we were talking about Victor Alongi being a pretty prolific hitter, buried in this Brockport bench.
And now that'll bring back up the top of the order with Vinzolata coming right back up to the plate. And back in the first inning, he struck out to Drodos, but he takes ball 1 for the first pitch of the at-bat.
You'll have to forgive my correction there, Ryan, but it is Cole Grazioplane, who's actually up to bat right now. Number 36, Grazioplane. He's your designated hitter in your 9 spot. As he shows bunt again, and it goes foul.
And Drodos is really going to need to find a way to get this first batter out in the inning here. And things keep getting dicier and dicier as now the Bombers trail 2-0 here. And Drodos in a 1-1 count. Gets ready for the pitch, and as they're looking to bunt here, foul tip for strike 2, 1-2 now.
Some great energy coming from the Brockport dugout. They are very loud, very aggressive. They want to see their team continue to pour it on, especially with the top of your lineup, like you said, Ryan, coming up. If you're able to keep no outs on the board, I think is going to have to change pitchers, and you're going to have someone fresh to take advantage of.
And Grazioplane here is is not too much of an aggressive hitter as he does get his walks.
That one outside for ball 2. It was down and outside, Ryan. Just nothing even worth swinging at. Couldn't be tricking a guy. Drodos starting to feel the pressure of the 2 runners on.
2-2 count here as Drodos gets set for the 5th pitch of the at-bat. Just outside for ball 3. Now a full count. His second full count of the inning here.
Let's be clear, none of those were called strikes. That was just because of 2 bunt attempts taken by Graziaplene. It hasn't been a ton of accuracy from Drodos in the second inning.
Graziaplene wants to put this ball in play here, try to bring the runner home. And with the pitch, called strike 3, and that's the first out of the inning and a much-needed out for Drodos here.
That's your confidence booster if you're Drodos. They jog out more balls for the ump. Are not jogging out to get Drodos out of this bind. Looks like they're going to give him another chance to dig himself out of this hole against the top of the lineup that he was effective against. Vanzialata obviously struck out first at-bat of the game.
That strikeout being his one of only 2 strikeouts currently as he just struck out Graziaplene. With the pitch, ball 1 low and away as Scully had to scurry over to get that first pitch with the runners on base, but no one moved. And gets ready for second pitch of the at-bat. Fouled off just over the Bombers' dugout for strike 1.
Right over the press box, too. Hoping Justin Lutz is okay. Hope he brought a glove today, our lovely producer.
And Drodos really just needs to find a way to throw consistent strikes here, as he has only seen not even a hit this inning. He's walked 3 batters, and had 1 hit by pitch.
Well, let's not forget about the RBI single that drove in the first 2 runs of the game, Ryan.
Yes, excuse me.
You're all right. Drodos calmed himself down a little bit with that last at-bat, still finds himself in a tough situation with the 2-1 pitch.
Ball 3 there. Now 3-1 count, and Drodos really needs to find a way to throw some strikes here.
And against a left-handed hitter in Vanzialata, you've got a different approach than what you've been adjusting to this entire game. With a 3-1 count, scary.
Drodos getting set for the pitch. In there for strike 2. Now a full count. And Vanzialata thought that was a ball 4 as he was starting to head over to first base.
He tossed his bat and started to undo his gloves. He was confident that that was ball 4. Maybe a generous call from the umps here, but the left-handed batter's box, strike box, being just a little bit altered. Drodos now gets a payoff pitch.
Drodos, 3rd full count of the inning here. He's throwing a lot of pitches in this inning. As he throws it over to second base, what looked to be could have been a balk there was not, but now getting ready for the payoff pitch here.
Didn't even have Peterson or Brody at the plate. It was just to give himself a second to breathe, as now he gets the payoff.
Ball grounded over to first base, just foul. And we'll do it again.
3rd attempt this time. My goodness, though, what a way to work this count by Vanziata. This is one of those spots where I don't expect to see Drodos again in this 3rd inning, even if he can get himself out of this.
Vanziata looking to kind of protect the plate there on that last pitch as he just fouled it off. Swing, and right over to the shortstop. Out 1, out 2. Gets the double play, and he's out of the inning. And he needed that double play more than anything.
What a great escape by the Bombers fielding. Brody gets it quickly to Peterson, who drills it to Fantel. A picture-perfect, exactly how you write it up in the books, kind of double play for the Bombers as they get themselves out of what was a tough start to the second inning. That being said, the bats showed that they are alive today if Brockport's also going to be showing a lot of their bullpen. So even though it's a 2-0 ball game in favor of the Golden Eagles, there's a real chance the Bombers could come right back to this.
I mean, the Bombers do have a fantastic offensive lineup of their own, with Fantel, Curtis, and Peterson coming up to the plate in the bottom of the second inning.
Yeah, Matt Curtis is going to start off the inning after Fantel popped out shallow to end that last inning. So Curtis, the left fielder you're going to see first, has been very solid in his 24 starts in left field. He's batting .313, has only scored 18 runs on the season, but has driven in 24 of them with his 45 total bases on extra hits and all that good stuff. Struck out 21 times. You don't love to see that. But all things considered, it's a good, solid hitter. Good spot to be leading off the inning. Right who you want in your 5-hole.
Now, Parker, let me ask you something here. Do you think that the Bombers are going to try to play some small ball again, as they kind of seem to be looking to bunt for hits in the last inning, or do you think they're going to be swinging away a little more?
I think it's too early for the game plan to change, so I wouldn't. And it's also it's a Valicente team, so you don't expect them to go away from the bunt too much. That being said, you see that you're very much in this game, and you see that your offense is going to need to do more work. So I do expect general aggression. Once you get somebody on base, this is a fast team. You can keep trying to bunt, but at the end of the day, I expect things to stay pretty much the same, where you're batting for power, and as the wind dies down, you get a more regulated environment.
Well, this wind has kind of been fluctuating all day. It'll get really windy for a few moments, and then it'll kind of go away entirely.
It looks like it is yes. It is going to be the same pitcher. It is still Eric Surveillon up for the Golden Eagles as he gets ready to face Matt Curtis, who's been playing left field today, made a couple good plays.
And you have Matt Curtis coming up here as he gets ready for the first pitch of the at-bat. Surveillon had a pretty easy inning in the first inning number one, as he throws the pitch over for a strike, and Matt Curtis down the count 0-1.
Really good power out of Surveillon today. It's what you want to see, especially in a bullpen game where you're asking a guy to start who usually doesn't. It's been great to see his deliver. He's risen to the moment really well for Brockport so far.
Pitch number 2. Swing, and Matt Curtis gets that into left field for a base hit. And he's going to try to stretch it over for 2, and he'll get it standing for a double.
Pretty tough fielding mistake for Blake over there. He was playing almost all the way to center field. He was playing over by that 358-yard foot marker, pardon me. Maybe against a right-handed hitter, you're expecting him to shift over that way, but it's just a great carry from Curtis. Gets himself a double on the first pitch of the at-bat. Sets up his team very well against Surveillon.
And Peterson will be coming up today for the first time today, and deals second back in the first inning.
Peterson only appeared in 14 games this year, batting .279 in those appearances. He starts when he plays, so the Bombers have been glad to have him back since he's been in this season.
Brockport just throwing over to first base there, just checking on the runner over at second. And they'll look for the first pitch of the at-bat here.
Peterson only 6 RBIs on the year, but with a runner in scoring position already, he's looking for more. Shows bunt there.
But he took it for strike number 1, as Parker, the Bees are back.
There's a lot of them now.
They're really hanging out over here. And he'll get for pitch number 2 here. And a little bit of a stalling here. And pitch number 1, grounded just over to the pitcher. The runner will have to stay at second, and he'll be out over at first for the first out of the inning.
Great communication from the Brockport fielders. Third base was already back. They wanted to make sure they kept Curtis pinned at second base, so it was a great play from Dixon to sit right at third. He would have called for it if it was Curtis moving at all, so they knew just to drill it right to first base. Get an easy out for their first out of the day, but they keep a runner in scoring position as they welcome Logan Scully up to the plate.
Logan Scully, although he's a catcher, he's no slouch, as he also has a lot of speed on the base pass, just like the rest of these Bombers. But he takes pitch number 1 for a strike, and now in an 0-1 count.
Scully not going to get a ton of action in any series, as he is part of this Ithaca deep catching rotation, but he is one of your better catchers. He bats .282 on the year with 22 hits in total. 19 of those hits have been good for RBIs, or pardon me, he's given 19 RBIs on those 22 hits. He is a guy who would love to help bring Curtis home here.
Scully just had a swing and a miss there on a pitch. Go home for the first run of the game. If throw to the plate, not corralled, and the run will score, and Lobster will stay over at first base. The Bombers now down 2-1.
Throw home was very close, but Matt Mayer ended up bobbling it a little bit, so they had to communicate quickly, end up holding Ryan Lobster at first base, but my goodness, he got himself out of a tough count there, went from 1-2, got it to 2-2, found his pitch, drilled it beautifully, and now the Bombers bring it to a 1-run ball game as they get their final hitter of the lineup, Riley Brody, the slashing shortstop up there.
And that was a much-needed RBI there for Lobster. With Matt Curtis getting that leadoff double, down 2-0, you really wanted to get that run home, and Lobster did just that, bring him home. And now Brody will take the first pitch of the at-bat for strike 1.
Brody been no slouch this year, batting .291 on the season with his 32 hits. 21 of them he scored on, or pardon me, if he gets on base, he scores on 21 of them, which is not bad for a guy with 110 at-bats.
And Brody just took the second pitch of the at-bat there for ball 1, now in a 1-1 count, 2 outs, with a runner over on first base, Lobster.
Brody, also one of only 4 guys on this team who have appeared in every single game. He has no longer started every single one since pinching in one of them in this late season set. But he has started the final game of the season.
And Lobster flies that one out. Oh, and he missed it. And now that'll get a runner over to third, and Brody will be safe at first. And I'm curious if they rule that a bloop single or an error.
I think you might have to. If it were up to me, and the way I saw that, it looked like Indek thought he had it. Felt like a gust of wind took that at the very last second. It got right out of the glove of Indek. He's going to be hitting himself about that one. I don't know if you can call it an error. I would call it just a bloop single. But at the same time, it just ends up being a really rough sequence for Brockport as they allow a runner right back into scoring position. And now they need to come out and calm down Surveyan, who had been very solid up until about 3 pitches ago.
And something else you want to look at is the sun is going right into Indek's face there, so that very well could have blinded him in the sun. And they're going to rule that a hit for Brody, so that's going to be a first and third, and they're not calling it an error, which I personally agree with that.
I think that's about right. It didn't make any contact with his glove. It blew away from him getting it at the last second. Not entirely the fault of the second baseman in Indek. Obviously, he could have played it a little bit better, but at the same time, just great contact made by Brody, and he puts his number 1 hitter, Colin Feeney, in a great spot, especially after he singled in his first appearance.
He actually got on the base of an error back in the first inning.
Right.
And
I'm going to call it a single, whatever.
And he's going to take the first pitch for ball 1. And now you can see Surveyan now getting in a little trouble here in the bottom of the second inning, just like Droto's got in trouble in the top of the second for the Bombers.
About to eat my words, although I did say if he got out of that two-out spot. Now he ends up in a tougher position as he checks it back to first base.
Surveyan checking on the runner over at first, as this Bombers team does love to steal, but he also has a Feeney over at the plate, who is very well a great hitter, and may want to focus on him too. With the pitch, called strike 1, and that was inside. Feeney didn't look too happy about that one.
I love Brody playing aggressive, although, let's be honest, he's only attempted 3 steals this year, only been successful on 1 of them. I think he's just trying to get Surveyan off his game. I don't see him actually trying to steal here, especially with 2 outs on the board.
With the pitch, ball 2, as now Feeney gets into a 2-1 count, a hitter's count, which will favor the batter as he gets ready for the 4th pitch of the at-bat here and looks to bring home another runner and tie the game. Surveyan getting set for the pitch. And Feeney takes it for ball 3. They called that. Looks like he fouled that off for a strike 2, actually.
Went off the end of the bat. Even though he didn't complete any part of his motion, he called it a tip foul ball. So it's going to be a 2-2 count. And just when it was a hitter's count, now all of a sudden you got to play pretty tight and simple if you're Feeney.
Just protect the plate here and a 2-2 count. With a runner in scoring position over on third base. With the pitch, swing and a miss for strike 3. Brockport gets out of the inning, and the Bombers strand 2 runners, now trailing 2-1.
Hey, you got your first runner in of the game. You bring it to a 1-2 ball game. So at the end of it, I think you're happy with that outing, although you do need to figure out what your pitching looks like for the rest. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, I will be back in charge, as it looks like the Bombers not electing to make a change early in this game. So we'll break all that down in just a moment on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream. Luckily, none of this affected my weight.
Yeah. I'm sure they're going to coffee right now.
I don't drink coffee. I think it would be very helpful. I hallucinated in classes. I slept very well last night. Quietly on the bed.
I really only drink coffee when I'm 65 or I have a long car ride.
Do you have a long car ride?
No, I'm just
Ready? Yep. Back here on Freeman Field, it is the Golden Eagles 2, Bombers 1. Welcome back, Parker Honda and Ryan Collins with you As the Golden Eagles look to extend their lead after the Bombers brought it back within 1, they've got the top of their lineup coming back up with Josh Indek due up first in this game to start off the third. Indek singled in the first before he was caught stealing.
A little surprising to see Drodos coming back out here, especially with the way that last inning went, but he did get the double play to get out of it.
He found himself getting good soft contact. It was a couple of tough plays for the entire Bombers team. If he can keep it in the strike zone, he'll be in a good spot as the 1-0 pitch is right down the middle for strike one, pardon me. No swing from Indek there as he's playing a little safer. I wonder if the call in the dugout for the Golden Eagles wasn't, hey, let's just see how many times we can make this guy walk us.
And that ball was just fouled off. But I want to keep in mind that Drodos last inning, like you said, he was getting soft contact, but he seemed to have lost the strike zone, walking 2 batters, hitting of 1 batter, and only giving up 1 base hit, which drove in the 2 runs.
Coming into today, Drodos had only walked 13 batters. He has walked, I believe he is at 4 today already. And now he delivers outside for ball 2.
And that'll definitely run up a strikeout to pitching walks count there, walking 4 batters in 1 game.
2-2 pitch, Drodos to Indek. That one is called a little bit high, and the count goes full with nobody on. The first at-bat of the inning for Drodos is yet another full count, which I believe will be his 3rd of the day.
Drodos only 13 walks in the year, like you said, coming into today, but he at the same time only has 22 innings pitched.
Pitch a little bit high inside, so the batter thought he had it, but he is rung up on strikes. That's going to be another K for Drodos. He gets his first batter of the inning out, and now he has to face another batter that he let single in Zach Eldred, and a hush falls across the stadium as they get ready to face one of the scariest hitters in all of D3 baseball.
Maybe even the scariest hitter at this point. I mean, like we went over earlier, his numbers are almost ridiculous. I can't say enough. 16 home runs, almost a 500 batting average, batting .430. It's ridiculous.
Swings on the second pitch. That's going to be good for strike 1. Drodos able to sneak that by Eldred, who is not an easy guy to strike out. Only 24 strikeouts on the year in his 137 at-bats, which is a crazy number, especially when you consider in those 137 at-bats, he has 60 hits. He gets a hit half the time. Are you kidding me?
I mean, that is ridiculous, but that does track as he has over a 500 on-base percentage. It's ridiculous. You can't get this guy out.
Drodos going to do his best as that is swung on and fouled away for strike 2 into the dirt. So this 2-2 count with 1 out and no batter on base. Really, whatever you do with Eldred, you're just happy to get him away from the plate. So if you can, honestly, even if he homers, you're just glad that he didn't do it with anyone in scoring position at this point.
At least to minimize the damage.
Swung on, strike 3, he rings him up. So not a perfect day for Drodos, but my goodness, has he been good against some of the scarier hitters on this Brockport team, ringing up Zach Eldred.
I mean, that's back-to-back strikeouts to start off the inning, which in the top of the order, striking out arguably the 2 best hitters in this lineup in Indek and Eldred.
What did Coach Valicente say to him back in the dugout? He has been a different pitcher this inning as he gets ready to face a foul ball on the first swing by Kyle Blake.
Well, the stuff that Drodos has been throwing all game, like we said, he's been getting soft contact, nothing too major. But he couldn't find the strike zone. So whatever they talked about in the inning helped him find the strike zone coming back out here for the 3rd inning.
Certainly calmed down a bit as he finds himself in a very good start in an 0-1 spot. Against a solid hitter in Blake, there's a reason you have him batting your cleanup spot. Like we said before, he's batting .425 on the year. But a lot of soft contact when he is getting hits, like you said, Ryan. Only a couple of extra base hits on the year. As early, Drodos gets himself into an 0-2 count. Absolute pitcher scout. He gets to throw whatever he wants now, seeing if he can get Blake to bite.
And Drodos here looking to strike out the side with the 3rd pitch of the bat.
He did not bite on that one, low and outside for ball 1. Gotta tease him a little bit more if you want to get Blake to swing on that. He's still a very effective hitter, even if he is down in the count.
Pitch to waste there, too, don't give him anything to hit. See if he'll just go fishing for it.
Drodos swung on. That is going to be fouled all the way left. Lots of action in the Bomber bullpen, but nobody in full jerseys yet, as they have someone likely ready to go, as we discussed before. But so far, it seems like they're happy with the way Drodos is looking this inning, as he delivers the 1-2 pitch. That one is down right across the plate, but a little too low for Blake to do anything with. It's going to be a 2-2 count. And the suspense is building. The Bomber dugout staying excited as they think they could get a 1-2-3 inning. That one right across the middle, but a little outside.
I mean, Blake notoriously has a great eye at the plate here with 21 walks already on the season to go along with his 420 batting average.
2 outs, payoff pitch. Right down the middle, he got him, strike 3. My goodness, a 1-2-3 inning for Danny Drodos after a tough second inning. Whatever he did in the dugout, it worked. And he absolutely rocks Brockport in his third inning of work.
Not only was that a 1-2-3 inning, he struck out the side, getting the 2 through 4 hitters, including Eldridge, who's arguably the best hitter in Division III baseball right now.
Absolutely elegant work from Danny Drodos there. A trio of strikeouts, 2 of them looking. A couple of backwards Ks is exactly what you want in a spot like that. And while they've been a little upset about both of those strikeout calls, it seems like no one's had a big argument with the ump yet. So you'll have to see a consistent strike zone early in the game. And now Ithaca still down 2-1 with a position at the top of their lineup. They've got McDonough, Laney, and Fantel coming up. A couple of power hitters trying to get something going here in the third.
Yeah, I mean, they got a little bit going back in the second inning, getting 1 run, cutting their lead in half. Now they'll look to do it again, see if they can either tie or take the lead with the heart of their order coming up here.
And if I'm seeing a quick look, yes, we were absolutely right, Ryan. It's going to be Surveillance staying out here for the Golden Eagles. They do not want to pull anybody too soon. I haven't noticed too much action in their bullpen. They certainly have a couple of guys warming up. But at the same time, nothing too crazy right now. It doesn't seem like they're ramping anybody up. But if Ithaca gets too much going, they could certainly pull the plug at any moment. Both teams, only 3 hits on the day, the error for the Golden Eagles.
And, I mean, keep in mind, like you said, both of these teams setting back out their pitcher for the third inning. They're also probably trying to use as little pitchers as possible, having just pitched this weekend, so you're not going to be sure of how many guys they're going to actually have available after both teams pitching 3 games over the weekend.
Yeah, Tuesday baseball game, not exactly what you want with crossover series coming up just this weekend. Friday, obviously, we'll see playoff action start here on the South Hill. Brockport, they've got to get ready to host a couple of playoff games, so you're exactly right. They want to stay as fresh as possible. But now, Ethan McDonough up to the plate. He struck out swinging in the first inning, but now he wants a little bit of revenge against the Surveillant, who showed that he can be gotten by the bottom of this Bombers lineup. So, hey, why not the top of it?
I mean, McDonough, not enough can be said about him, but one thing that's for certain, he does strike out a bit, so that strikeout there is not surprising with 24 strikeouts already on the season.
Trying to avoid his 26th. As this is a quick delay, it looked like there was some issue with the catcher's gear. Quick conversation between the coach and the catcher.
Maybe a little bit of a pitch comm issue, as it looks like that's what they're looking at over there.
So now we slow everything down, but the catcher goes back. Doesn't look like anything serious. And we'll resume action right away. No pitch is thrown quite yet, as Ethan McDonough still wants his revenge. He's been playing right field today. Hasn't been asked to do too much. Surveillant delivers. And that is going to be low for ball 1. And early, McDonough gets a nice start to his at-bat.
I mean, got to have a good eye at the plate here. Make him throw some pitches as well. Ball 2 brushed him off a little bit there.
My goodness. McDonough only drawn 19 walks in the year. Far from bad. Very respectable, but nowhere near the top of the team. But hey, a 2-0 count, you can just play pretty passive. See if you get anything you like.
This Bombers lineup will always try to get on base however they can.
That one swung on, skied, but it's not going to go too deep. It's a debate, sun in the eyes of the second baseman and shortstop, but it gets called for and played cleanly by Alongi. He ended up calling it at the last possible second as it fell right to him. He had to reach a little bit for it, but a routine fly out to shallow center field, I almost said deep second base. Shallow center field, I guess, would be the more proper name for that.
All these high hit balls are going to be hard for both these teams to track in the field, as it's very windy for one thing, and the sun is just perfectly blinding anyone if you try to look up in the sky.
Sun's not going down anytime soon either. It's only a little after 2 at this point. And back up to bat, Camden Laney, we talked about earlier, he missed some games over the past couple weeks. Bombers have been happy to have him back, although he did line out with some great power to center field in the first inning, and he falls down 0-1 in the count in the third inning. That one dinged to left field. It's going to look inside the park, and this is going to be a routine fly out for the left fielder in Blake, right where he needed to be that time, as Laney contact on his first 2 at-bats early in those at-bats as well, but not able to make anything out of them, and it'll be Fantel back up to bat.
Yeah, Fantel back in the first inning. He batted. He popped out over to the shortstop.
But my goodness, just some great power from Fantel. It's just beautiful to hear it come off the bat. Had a home run last time I called a game here at the Valcente Diamond. As he goes down 0-1 in the count early, Fantel.
Yeah, Fantel, such great power for this Bombers lineup. No, there is a reason he is batting in this cleanup spot.
I almost thought you said Bombers Live, just desserts' best sports show of the year.
No, I did not, but that's a great shout-out.
No Bombers Live baseball coverage. It's something you really miss once you get to the spring seasons. As Fantel in a 1-1 count with 2 outs on the board, trying to make something happen here. As he watches that one fly by for ball 2. And all of a sudden, pretty even count.
Fantel, another Bomber who tends to have a great eye at the plate, only striking out 11 times on the year and 18 walks.
Great maturity for one of the youngest members of this Bombers starting rotation. Or I guess it's not really a rotation, it's a starting lineup, but he's not always in the starting lineup. So, keyboard warriors, you can calm down.
Being patient, too, is something that tends to be difficult for younger hitters as they kind of want to prove themselves. But the fact that he shows that maturity at the plate already shows great things for what could be a great career for Fantel.
He's worked his way into a 3-1 count and watches ball 4 fly almost over his head, and he'll take his base. Not a guy who you expect to steal with one of the power hitter builds, but at the same time, now he brings up Matt Curtis, who drove in a run last time. He got driven in after doubling in the second inning.
I mean, this is such a great spot for Matt Curtis coming up here as he had a 2-base hit back in the second inning, which was the first run the Bombers drove into the game.
A little bit inside, but called strike 1 to Curtis. And like you said, Ryan, that was just great maturity from Fantel, being very patient in that at-bat. You can't afford any mistakes when there's already 2 outs on the board. He gets himself on base, and maybe he'll see if he can get himself in scoring position as he take a bit of a lead for Curtis. Second pitch is swung on, and it's popped to shallow, and immediately the third baseman in Dixon's going to get there, and that will do it for the inning. A great walk drawn by Fantel, but other than that, nothing much. And Ryan, we're going to hear some more from you when we come back here on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream.
And we are back here for the top of the 4th inning with Brockport coming back up to bat here. And after striking out the side back in the 3rd inning, Drodos returns for the 4th inning here. We're going to have Story, Dixon, and Mayer coming up here to the plate. Story with the first pitch and he pops it up over to the shortstop, and that should be the first out of the inning. And now you're going to have Dixon coming up to the plate. Dixon walked back in the 2nd inning as the Bombers went through most of their lineup last inning. And Danny Drodos just kind of trying to get through the 4th inning after what presumed we wouldn't come back out for the 3rd is now here in the 4th as well. And looks great as he throws in the first pitch for a strike. Gets set for a second pitch of the at-bat. Grounded over to the shortstop, and that will be a 6-3 put out for the second out of the inning. And now, retiring 2 straight batters on only a couple pitches, we're going to have Mayer coming up here, who also, again, walked back in the second inning as part of that 2-run inning for Brockport. And Drodos getting set for the first pitch of the third at-bat. And he'll throw a ball 1 there. Now, Meyer down 1-0 in the count. Or up 1-0 in the count, excuse me. Meyer looking to try to get some going here of 2 outs as he takes the pitch for strike 1, now in a 1-1 count here. And Drodos still kind of found himself now being able to throw strikes again after what was a rough second inning. And with the pitch now, ball 2, as that was in the other batter's box, and 2-1 count here. Get set for the fourth pitch of the at-bat here. Ball popped foul, just a little bit in front of us. I should have brought my glove there for strike 2. Now a 2-2 count here.
You beat me to it, Ryan. I thought that was going to be a souvenir.
I don't think we're allowed to take these foul balls home, Parker, unfortunately.
I don't know who's going to stop us. I'm a big guy. They can't tell if I'm smuggling a ball.
2-2 count here coming to Mayer. And another pitch fouled just back to the backstop. 2-2 count still. We'll do it again.
Great work from Mayer fighting this off. He has been very aggressive, able to swing at whatever he gets that even could be light contact, keeping himself in a 2-2 count with 2 outs on the board.
Fouled off the third straight pitch there, just past the umpire and over the catcher, and still a 2-2 count as he's fighting this bat, trying to make something happen with 2 outs.
So many fouls that you've gotten a mid-at-bat recharge on balls for the ump. He needs a couple fresh ones for Drodos.
As he fouls off another pitch down the right field line over the stands.
That one was belted. My goodness. Amazing power for Mayer being demonstrated there. As the wind has now officially shifted, Ryan, I want to give a quick update on that. It's now blowing much more strongly towards the right field side when it was blowing straight back out before.
That pitch will brush him off, and now the count will go full. 3-2.
Very hairline call. Head umpire needed to check with the first base coach to see if that bunt went around. It did not. So now a true payoff pitch for Drodos.
Drodos put the pitch, and now Meyer will single into right center field as he's going to stretch that out for a double, as there was a little bit of a misplay out there, and he'll be in sliding for a what I would presume would be a single and an error.
Interesting decision from Brockport to be so aggressive, but at this point they want to start pulling away from the Bombers, who have been trying to swing hard on a lot of these hits. So now they stretch a single into a second base taken. However, it ends up getting scored. As they get the bottom of their lineup on, Alongi has already shown he can be dangerous.
And that pitch was officially ruled as a double for Mayer, as he now gets a 2-base hit, his first hit of the game to go along with his walk, with Alongi coming up here.
I agree with that one. I don't want to take the good base running
who drove
away from Mayer.
And Alongi drove in the first 2 runs of the game as he watches that first pitch in for a ball.
Yeah, it was a beautiful RBI single from Alongi, the shortstop, his first time up in the first inning, or pardon me, in the second.
Alongi in a 1-0 count here, looking to try to drive in his third run of the game with 2 outs. Alongi lines that over into center field, and that should bring home the third run of the game as he gets his second base hit to make this a 3-1 ball game.
And that's why you take the risk earlier if you're Mayer, stretching that single into a double. My goodness, the aggression from Brockport paying off, and with 2 outs, they get back-to-back hits that end up extending their lead to 3-1.
And now Grazio Pane going to come up here with 2 outs, and he struck out back in the second inning. And we're going to have a little meeting over at the mound, wondering if this could be it for Drodos, or if this is going to be a conversation here.
No, it looks like with 2 outs, they're going to just try to calm him down one more time, see if he's got enough to cool it off. And against Grazia Plenty, see if he can just cool it off. No, it is going to be Danny Drodos leaving the mound
And that'll be it for today as he walks out of the game giving up 3 runs on 3 hits.
Don't forget that runner on first is still going to be his responsibility. That would be earned if it ends up getting driven in. So, the inheritor, I believe we talked about it earlier, if nothing has changed, it's going to be John Griffin coming in for him, getting warmed up now. He's going to be inheriting the runner. But with 2 outs in position, it's not the worst spot you could be having to take over a game, as yes, I can now confirm it's number 16, John Griffin. We talked about him a little earlier. In his 11 appearances, he's got a 3-2 record. He's got 22 strikeouts on the year, but has given up 17 hits in just 16 innings of work.
Griffin has been solid for the Bombers so far this year, and they're going to look to him in a big spot here, try to keep this game close with a run over on first base.
They're going to get to warm up a little bit, a quick infield meeting happening, talking about how they can maybe deal a bit better with these bloop singles that have put them in a tough position in multiple innings now. In both the second and now the fourth, we've seen these pretty soft contact hits going right over the second base spot, but getting right into center field. I don't think you can blame that on the outfielders. I think you got to be a little faster and a little bit more anticipatory with the way that these Brockport Golden Eagles can get contact with the ball.
And as Griffin gets ready for this first batter here, as he throws his couple warm-up pitches that he's allotted, he's going to get Graziopane, who's struck out back in the second inning, and which was one of 4 strikeouts for Drodos in this game.
My goodness, Graziopane, he's all the way down in this designated hitting spot, and he's still batting .355 on the year. He's in your 9 spot, and he's just been a deadly hitter this year. It's just a testament to how well-rounded this Brockport team can be. The fact that the bottom of their lineup has done more damage to Ithaca than any other part. It's just a really well-built team.
And like we've been saying, that just goes to show you how deep this Brockport offense actually is, and it gives you good reason to why they're nationally ranked number 17 in D3 baseball.
Absolutely correct. As we get ready for John Griffin to take over this game, he's gotten almost done with his warm-up pitches because you can tell the Ithaca Bombers on your video have spread back out. They find themselves down 3-1, Ryan. What does John Griffin have to do, and what does the rest of this Bombers rotation have to do to make sure that they have the opportunity to get back in this game?
Griffin's goal is going to be to get out of this inning, limiting Brockport to only 1 run here. They're going to want to try to keep this close, and Graziopane is going to obviously try to do what he does best, and that's hit the ball into the field as the DH. But we'll find out what's going to happen here right now as he steps into the batter's box. And he'll get ready to take the first pitch of the at-bat, and Griffin's first batter of the game. Griffin with the pitch. First pitch for a ball as Scully throws over to first base, trying to get Alongi, but as he slid back in safely, and now we're going to get ready for the second pitch of the at-bat.
Perfectly respectable pickoff attempt from Scully there, well delivered to the first baseman, and Fantal just ends up being a little too slow to take advantage of the aggression.
Griffin with the second pitch of the at-bat, in there for strike 1, now in a 1-1 count, 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning.
Now, if you were looking closely during those warm-ups, you saw the ball can get away from Griffin a little bit, especially on those lower pitches, but he's got good control and he's got good power. He gets asked to do a lot in games like this, and we'll see how he rises to the challenge, inheriting a runner and 2 outs.
And Griffin, third pitch of the at-bat there, just on the outside of the plate for strike 2, and Alongi did not seem happy about that one, as I think he thought that pitch was a little away.
I could see that, but if you're tickling the outside of the strike zone, it's looked pretty consistent to me so far today. But now you find yourself in a 1-2 count against a fresh arm in Griffin.
4th pitch of the at-bat here. Ball 2 way outside in the other batter's box as well as low. And now a 2-2 count.
That's what we were talking about just a second ago, Ryan. Gets out of Griffin's hand a little bit fast, a little bit funny, skips in the dirt a tiny bit, and had to be a quick catch from Scully to make sure he didn't give up anything crazy in a 2-2 count with 2 outs.
5th pitch of the at-bat there. Lined over into left center field, and that's going to go by him, and that's going to bring home the 4th run of the game, and he's going to try to stretch this out for a triple as Alongi comes into third base standing for his first hit of the game.
I would be stunned if that doesn't get called an error on Feeney. It skipped away from him, just took a bad bounce in the dirt. He couldn't get on it with the sun in his eyes, and that gets stretched into 3 bases. My goodness, that is exactly what you want if you're Graziopane. only your 8th start of the year for him, but he has been great in all of them, and now drives in another run for Brockport as they take a 4-1 lead in this ballgame with a runner on third.
And Parker, and that's going to go down as a triple to left center field.
It's going as a triple, no error on that.
There is no error called on the play currently.
I like that. It was a fielding mistake. I don't know if it should be an error. It's not like he dropped it. It just got away from him.
That's going to be tough, as that's going to leave Drodos with his official line of 4 earned runs in this game, which that likely would have been first and third with 2 outs still there for him.
With Vanzalata back up to bat, that first swing on, obviously he missed it, but just the way he swung on that looked like it was going to go sky. Genuinely, his motion is so clean on the swing. Vanzalata
still in an 0 for today, one of the few people that has not reached base yet in this Brockport lineup, as he takes a pitch high for ball 1. And now he's going to be in a 1-1 count there. Vanzalata struck out in the first, hit into a double play to end that second inning where Brockport scored his first 2 runs of the game. Now up here in a similar spot with a runner on third base and 2 outs, as he fouls off another pitch for strike 2 in a 1-2 count.
I'm starting to feel a little bit like bad luck, Ryan. When I stepped away to grab a sip of water, it was a great beginning to the inning for Drodos. He ended up getting those 2 first outs extremely quickly. Ever since I got back, it's been a bit of a nightmare for the Bombers. They've allowed 2 runs.
Yep, and a little bit of a miscue out in center field as well. But now it's Griffin's trying to get through this inning to finish it off, as he gets the third pitch in there for a ball now in a full count. And this is going to get a little dicey if he walks this batter here now in a full count, as he was ahead 1-2 earlier.
Luckily, you wouldn't be pushing the third baseman home, as that is swung on.
Flied out into center field for the final out of the inning, and that's going to bring up the Bombers down 4-1 now in this game.
Some brief redemption for Colin Feeney. Gets the fly out in routine center field, but my goodness, not what you want to see if you're the Bombers. You were finally starting to get it going on offense a bit, starting to show some consistency, and now you're down by 3 runs. You've allowed 6 hits in a bullpen game. I don't know how you get your momentum back at this point.
Well, Peterson, Scully, and Lobster are going to be the Bombers to try to figure it out in the bottom of this 4th inning. As we come back, we'll take a little break.
Back here, thank you so much for being with us, not being us. I mean, no, we're not cocky enough to say you want to be us, but you do wish you were here, able to watch this game on Valcente Diamond at Freeman Field. Parker Hondoner, Ryan Collins here with you as the Brockport Golden Eagles lead the Ithaca Bombers 4-1 right now.
And we're going to come up here with Peterson, Scully, and Lobster in this inning for the Bombers to start us off as the guaranteed 3 batters, with Peterson coming up here first as he batted out in the second inning in a 1-3 from the pitcher to the first baseman. And Peterson will take that first pitch for a ball and a 1-0 count now. And the Bombers are going to be looking to get something going here, trailing now 4-1 after giving up 2 runs in the second and 4th inning, scoring 1 in the second themselves.
Peterson finds himself in a 1-0 count early, as the Golden Eagles have elected to bring back out Eric Surveyan, who has been very solid today for them. Slowed himself down after a tough second inning, was about as good as he get in the third after a scary moment. He gets to continue what has been a solid start for him. As the 1-1 pitch skips off the dirt well away for ball 2.
Peterson here now in a 2-1 count with Griffin, Several on with the pitcher still on the mound for Brockport here as he gets ready for the fourth pitch of the at-bat and a 2-1 count.
Servain delivers to Peterson. That's swung on and fouled away to the parking lot. I hear the sound of safe cars as they drive it right to the parking lot. Ryan, this was before your time, but in my first year here at Ithaca, my car actually was right in that 30-minute spot back when it was still a 15-minute spot, and actually popped my hood. No damage to the car, but it did open the hood of my car. I was a little bit freaked out by that one. As that pitch is dribbled to the shortstop, a routine play going to be right to the first baseman. Not too high that time, and Peterson on a quick ground ball to the shortstop is going to be called out. First out of the inning, and Servain right back to his old tricks.
And now we're going to have the second batter here. It's Lobster coming up with one out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And Lobster here, as he had the sole RBI of the game for the Bombers so far, as he watches the first pitch in for a ball, as that was inside and high. Lobster singled back in the second to drive in that first run of the game. Looking to make something happen here with one out. As Servain gets ready for his second pitch of the at-bat, and that's on the inside of the plate for strike one, and now in a 1-1 count here. Bombers looking to try to make something happen. Now with one out in the bottom of the fourth inning, trailing by 3.
Scully struck out in his first at-bat and gets dinged on that one.
And that's going to hit him and bring the batter to first base, as that caught him on the top of the shoulder. Now the Bombers are going to have a much-needed base runner here, as Scully is heading over to the dugout, as the umpires are arguing that maybe he leaned into the pitch there.
Some aggression from the Bombers. They're not too pleased about it. It did seem like that pitch was slow enough that he could have gotten out of the way of it. And it seems like that might be what they're arguing. They're saying that he could have attempted to get out of the line of that pitch. But to me, that was right in the batter's box. It seemed like it dinged him right in the shoulder. I don't know how you say that isn't intentional.
And now Scully is going to get hit by that pitch there, but he'll stay in the batter's box, potentially, as the umpires are going to discuss if he could have gotten out of the way there.
To me, that was right in the forearm. They're saying, yeah, what I just clearly heard the third base coach was that it's going to hurt his elbow. It's going to hit his elbow guard, potentially do some damage, even if it is a relatively slow pitch. I can kind of agree with that, but it does seem like there's a bit of disagreement. And without any consensus, it seems like they're going to ask Logan Scully to go back to batting. Now, with a 1-2 count, my goodness, just gets penalized for getting hit.
Scully that pitch is now going to be called a strike as well to make that a 1-2 count, like you said, Parker.
Insult to injury, if you would.
Exactly that. And Servain is now ahead in this count, which could have been the first base runner of the inning for the Bombers. But Scully now going to watch that pitch sail away, low and away for a 2-2 count now.
Scully has the power behind his swing. Wouldn't be surprised if he takes some anger out on the ball right here.
2-2 count here. Scully looking to try to be the first base runner of this inning. And a swing and a foul tip, just barely getting a piece of that to stay in this at-bat.
Luckily got into the dirt instead of into the mitt of the catcher. Could have been a rough way to get a second out on the board for the Bombers.
2-2 count here for Scully still. 6th pitch of the at-bat coming. And a painful at-bat nonetheless for Scully there.
Again, it seemed like it was a pretty slow pitch, but still, you don't want to get dinged at any point.
And you can hear the Brockport dugout was not happy with that pitch, as they thought that was strike 3. But nonetheless, now a full count for Scully here. And the payoff pitch coming, and the 7th pitch of the at-bat. Servain getting set for the pitch. Ball popped up, should be playable, and that should be the second out of the inning, and it is. And now that's going to bring Lobster coming up with 2 outs.
Absolute skyscraper. That one was going for the roof of the West Tower. My goodness, it was a lot of power behind it, just a bad angle for Scully. He finds himself on the wrong side of the pop out into the foul territory. Couldn't get any kind of angle on it. And now 2 outs. They're going to welcome up Ryan Laubscher, who had a single and was almost able to score last time he was up.
Laubscher, the first RBI of the game for the Bombers, though, nonetheless. And one of the few hits of this game for the Bombers so far, as he takes the first pitch inside for a strike one as that caught the inside of the plate. And now 0-1 count here of 2 outs. And again, the Bombers are going to try to be looking to make some 2-out magic happen here in what is a close 3-run game.
Labsher started 33 of the Bombers' 34 games this season, has been one of the most consistent players that this team's had over his entire career.
And that's going to be fouled just in front of us. Parker, you were reaching out for that one, but you might need longer arms to get there.
It was coming right at me. I almost leaned over the fence, but, we're on top of the Sriracha building here. I don't think that would end too well for me.
No, but we do have a little bit of a protection in front of us with a little bit of this black leathering in front of us, which I don't think it would do much if the ball was fouled our way, but maybe it'll do something, at least slow it down. As that pitch was inside and high for ball one in this count. Now 1-2 count here for Labsher. Labsher trying to make something happen here as he gets ready for the fourth pitch of the at-bat. Pitch low for ball 2 there. Now 2-2 count. And you can hear the Brockport dugout getting really involved in this at-bat, really loud and very noticeable down there.
Labsher fought like this last time he was up against Surveyan, and it ended up being an RBI single for him. Now no runners in scoring position, but he still wants to see what he can get as he's fought this into a long at-bat.
And fifth pitch of the at-bat coming here as he bounces that one right in front of the plate and through the left side of the infield, and that's going to get him on base for his second hit of the game.
His second single, no doubt. Alongu not able to get there quite in time, and even though it's 2 outs on the board, the Bombers still finally get their first base runner. Maybe a little bit later. I think they were expecting Scully to be their first base runner, but that gets robbed. Labsher ends up on first with Riley Brody up to bat, who sent Labsher to third last time he was up. Brody
and Labsher combined for back-to-back singles back in the second inning, and now Brody going to look to do it again and try to make something happen here with 2 outs, as he watches the first pitch for strike one on that called the inside of the plate. Now on 1 count, 2 outs, still down by 3. Brody, like you mentioned earlier, Parker, he's a pretty well-slashing shortstop, batting about 280 this year so far. Brody getting ready for the second pitch of the at-bat here. Watches another pitch inside for ball 1. 1-1 count here. Brody's kind of can arguably be a leadoff hitter in a lot of lineups in Division III with how he finds a way to always get on base and with his speed. Swing and a miss. A little bit of a foul tip there. Now 1-2 count.
Yeah, but with a team like the Bombers, who the middle of their lineup is so good at getting on base no matter what, I like that you have a power hitter in your 9 spot who either he's going to get on base and set up the top of your lineup to have somebody who could potentially score, or you end up again with a runner in a spot where he could end up driving him in. I've actually liked him towards the bottom of this lineup all season. It's a spot he's really found a home there after being one of the Bombers' best hitters over his entire career.
And that last foul tip seemingly shook up the Brockport catcher a little bit as we get ready for the fourth pitch of this at-bat.
Matt Mayer needed a second, but with a 1-2 count, he gets back behind the dish.
And Surveyan getting ready for the fourth pitch now. And Brody watches it high and inside as he had to move back his shoulders and head a little bit there to avoid the pitch. 2-2 count.
Great vision, kept his eyes on the ball at all times. Obviously, you're always told to do that, but not everybody is as good as it as you would advertise. Brody, one of the best in the 2-2 count.
Brody getting ready to swing and watches that inside for ball 3. Now a full count here, fighting his way back from an 1-2 count to even this up. And now we're getting ready for the payoff pitch here from Surveyan.
A couple long at-bats for Surveyan. I would be shocked if his day's not over after this inning regardless.
Surveyan, a little bit of stalling as he throws the pitch. And that is popped up over to third base. And the shortstop calling for the third out of the inning. And that's going to strand Labsher. And when we return, we're going to be in the top of the 5th inning with Parker Hollandorner taking back over as play-by-play.
And welcome back. Your score right now, Brockport 4, Ithaca 1. They ended up getting knocked pretty well around by a great day by Eric Servayan. So far the Bombers have, but now it's John Griffin back on the bump, and he's going to face basically the top of the Brockport lineup. He's got the 2, 3, and 4, Indick, Eldred, and Blake to deal with as he deals his first pitch off the front of the plate. It gets skipped up for ball 1.
The heart of the order here again for Brockport, starting off an inning for the second time, as Drodos and Griffin faced 6 hitters last inning.
Almost a time where you want Drodos back because he was so good against this top of the Brockport lineup. And Griffin finds himself down 2-0 after dealing 2 pitches low that made contact with the plate in a row. He's got to find his way to get his velocity back up a little bit, his accuracy a little bit tighter, as he deals with some very good hitters who would love to get easy walks right now.
Yep, especially after striking out 3 in a row in the last inning.
That one low and outside a little bit, and he finds himself in a 3-0 count early.
And this Brockport lineup loves to find its way on base no matter how they can, especially when they have the best hitter behind them, arguably in D3, Eldred.
Griffin deals, but it is outside, even though it's finally high enough. That one is to the right of the batter, and he's going to take his base on balls. 4-pitch walk in Griffin's first faced batter of this 5th inning. Not what you want to see as a start for the Bombers, and we're already seeing some action in the Bomber bullpen. They're getting another righty warmed up. Can't quite see a number yet, but they are getting ready to pull the plug on Griffin if this doesn't start getting better quick.
And that's going to be Indick's second time getting on base as he singled back in the first inning, but was caught stealing trying to take second.
So Indick walks, and now Zach Eldred back up to bat. He singled in the first inning and ended up striking out in the third in what was a very competitive at-bat, but now he's down 0-1 against Griffin. 0-1 pitch is down the middle again for strike 2, so you now have to wonder, maybe it was a handedness issue. You now see a right-handed batter in Eldred up to bat. He was up against a lefty in Indick just a second ago. Maybe it is a handedness problem because now, against a righty, things seem to be stabilizing out a little bit.
And Eldridge trying to minimize any damage that could be caused here, try to keep this a close game, and the Bombers within reach.
That pitch trying to get Eldred to bite was a little bit low and a little bit away for ball 1. Now Griffin wants to get himself into a good position with a runner already on first and no outs. So here's the 1-2 pitch to Eldred. Swung on, fouled away. He fights it off. The count stays at 1-2, but the pitch count starts going up.
Just barely getting a piece of that, and the umpire kind of looked to duck out of the way a little bit there as that pitch kind of went right back towards him and towards the back wall.
That's some nice velocity against it, and then against a power hitter like Eldred, that's got to be coming off of some major velo on a foul tip.
Oh, absolutely. Dangerous little play there, but no harm, no foul.
Let's try it again with the 1-2 pitch. That one just a bit outside for ball 2. Eldred showing some great patience after going down in the count early.
And fought his way back currently from 0-2 to now 2-2, trying to make something happen here for a runner on first base.
Eldred barely more walks than he has, home runs this season. He has 18 walks and 16 home runs. Doesn't draw a ton of walks, but he's usually getting hits, so he doesn't need to. As the 2-2 pitch is high for ball 3, and he works the count full. Great patience from Eldred, the 5th-year player for these Golden Eagles.
And Parker, I have just received word that triple back in the 4th inning for Grazapadze is now going to be changed from a triple to a single, and one of Drodos' runs will now be unearned.
All right, I can see that. It seemed like it was a bit of a tough sequence. It seemed like a couple of fielding mistakes for the team. Who was the error charged to, if you know?
The error was charged to, it was charged to the center fielder.
That makes sense. It was a comedy of errors, if you would, by the Bombers fielding. The wind and the sun getting in the way a little bit of what was a good sequence.
Yep.
But since we were checking up on that, a couple of changes in the field. The Bombers checked it to first base to make sure that they weren't letting Indick get anything cheap. He actually went to try and steal or try to advance on that payoff pitch that was fouled away. And now the third payoff pitch of the at-bat.
And that was Feeney in center field that committed that last error.
Chipped to third base. They're going to try to look for the double play. No, they're just going to simply deal it to first. A quick check to second base to make sure there's nothing sneaky happening at second, but a routine out from the third baseman in Laubscher to Fantel. So that's going to be a simple first out and another retirement for Eldred. but it will advance Indek to second base. They thought they could get him being a little too greedy, but no, he will stay at second. Eldred will be out at first.
And Eldred's 1 for 3 today. Somehow it's going to make his batting average go down, though. And that's absurd to me that going 1 for 3 will lower your batting average.
Hey, only in the 5th inning. He'll probably be up 2 more times today unless they start pinching somebody. He's got plenty of opportunity to get those hits back. As Griffin now has to face Kyle Blake, who was struck out looking in the 3rd inning. But altogether still a very scary player, especially now with a runner in scoring position and only 1 out on the board as he's in the 0-1 count.
And Blake is definitely a average hitter, one of these best hitters in the lineup. Not much for home runs, though, only with 1 home run on the year.
Check back to second base. He's safe just in time is Indek. Someone who definitely wants to steal for this team. He can be very aggressive. He is 12 for 12 on stolen base attempts so far this year. Doesn't go a lot, but if he does, he gets it.
12 for 13, Parker. He was called back in the 1st inning earlier today.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I have that right to here.
With Scully throwing him out over at second base earlier in the game.
Griffin surveying before he deals. That one is low. Scully really wants to catch him for a second time today. You could see him almost ready to pop up. Meanwhile, Indek, I think you make a great point, Ryan. I think he's trying to avenge that caught stealing. So a bit of that aggression, especially only with 1 out. He takes a big lead.
But no one holding him on over at second base.
As that is swung on and tipped away by Kyle Blake.
But you're right, Parker. That lead is really long as he's almost going halfway to third base.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even think you're overstating it that much. He's taking very aggressive leads, as has the entire Brockport team today. Especially with the errors that the Ithaca infield has made so far today. Obviously, not a lot of them ending up on the scorecard, but there have been some miscommunications and a couple tight mistakes as the 1-2 pitch crossed the plate but called a little bit out, tickling the outside of the plate for ball 2.
And you have Blake fighting back here after originally being down in the count 0-2, now 2-2.
Griffin dealing the 2-2 pitch to Blake. A much more conservative lead from the runner on second, but they're going to check it back anyway, and they're going to get him out. He's caught for a second time today. He wasn't even trying to steal. He was just trying to make it back in time, but Connor Peterson snuck inside on that second base position and ended up getting back to the base just in time to catch the runner in Josh Indek, and now it's bases clear.
And that's going to be a little bit of a rough inning for Indek on the bases, now caught stealing in the 1st, and now picked off here in the 5th inning.
And he follows it up with a strike 3 swung on. What a sequence for the Ithaca Bombers. A quick caught stealing, and the very next pitch strikes out Kyle Blake. A perfect way to end an inning that got scary for a moment, but John Griffin pulls it back from the jaws, and it ends up being a very solid start for him. Obviously, he didn't start the game, but a start to his appearance, if you would. My goodness, the Bombers pitching very solidly today, all things considered.
Agreed, Parker. A little bit of miscommunications here and there in the outfield and in the infield. But now the Bombers are going to try find some offense here in the bottom of the 5th inning, with the top of the order coming up in Feeney, McDonough, and Laney.
My goodness, the Golden 32 back out there. Eric Surveyan is back on the bump. He's going to be pitching his 5th inning of the day. He's gotten scary, but even when I pointed out it being a little bit scary, he's only allowed 1 run today. He has been about as good gets.
And Surveyan coming back out here isn't too surprising with the fact that the top of the order here hasn't found a hit or a walk, and the only way they've reached base in the top of the order here is based off an error. So he's held them in check all game so far.
I still disagree with that Colin Feeney scoring at the very first at-bat of the day. I know it was an error, but I just liked the contact that he got. It's fine, everybody. We're not here to fight about it.
That's definitely a close call either way, Parker, but I personally would rule in favor of an error back on that first inning play. But if it was ruled a hit, I wouldn't be too surprised either way.
Regardless, like you said, it's Feeney, McDonough, Laney up to bat. A lot of power coming up, but now it's just a duel of intelligence. Surveyan's seen them a couple of times. They've seen him a couple of times. Who's going to end up coming out on the other side of this when these are 2 great teams?
These batters currently 0 for 6 against Surveyan so far in this game. And they're going to try to look to make something happen here. Still down 3 in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Feeney obviously reached on an error in the 1st inning, ended up making it all the way to third base. did not score as he takes the first pitch for ball 1.
Feeney stole a base back in that inning as well. Stole third base, excuse me. And looking to find a way back on base here again.
You were right both times, Ryan. I believe he stole both.
Oh, did he?
That is dealt inside ball 2. Oh, no, a late check. Nope. They're going to keep it the same. Ball 2 called. The ump had something else to say to the dugout of the Golden Eagles. So now Feeney finds himself in a very nice count early. And, hey, they don't need to get a hit. They just got to get on base. He shows bunt, pulls it back in time, but it is going to be strike 1 called right across the plate. Feeney thought that if he made contact with that, maybe he gets outrun. So he ends up pulling back just in time to look at strike 1 across the plate.
And you have the third baseman playing up almost on the grass just in case of that bunt, which is a little surprising as Feeney has a lot of power.
Feeney watches inside. There was a miscue on the scoreboard. That is ball 4. And he takes his base on balls. For a second, I thought because of the scoreboard error that it might have dinged him, but I saw no signs of pain or contact. So that is just ball 4. So Feeney, patient on a 3-1 count, takes the 4th ball, takes his base. And now with the top of the lineup that is due for a hit based on the numbers, you'll love to see them with a runner on who would love to get himself into scoring position once again today.
And you have Ethan McDonough, who has found some power this year. 5 home runs already on the year and 18 RBIs.
I want to be positive about 5 home runs, but again, you have a guy on Brockport who has 16 this year, and yes, that's otherworldly, but it makes it hard to celebrate a really solid 5 home runs from McDonough.
Parker, you're trying to compare extraordinary to great here, and I'm very happy with McDonough's 5 home runs here.
Hey, I'm happy with great as well, as he's in a 1-0 count. And with the way the game's gone so far for the Bombers, I think you just have a green light if you really like something, as he watches strike 1 across the plate. But I think, Ryan, if you're due for a hit like this, I think you're just going to try to make contact with something across the plate, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're going to just try to play small ball here. You can't be looking for the home run ball. The home run ball isn't going to tie the game, isn't going to put you in the lead. You want to get on base, pass the baton.
As that ball, just a little bit inside for ball 2, McDonough will step out for a second, compose himself before he takes a tiny little practice swing, steps back in. And we have not seen a lot of aggressiveness from Feeney so far. They haven't checked the ball back to him, but they still have kept him pretty contained as that ball is driven right to right field. It's going deep. It might be gone. It's out of here. My goodness, Ethan McDonough drives it all the way out. The wind dies just in time for a perfectly hit ball. Ryan, we were saying 5 home runs might not be anything extraordinary. How about 6 on the year for Ethan McDonough? That's
a fantastic way. I know we were saying play some small ball, but you're not complaining hitting that home run, bringing the Bombers within 1 run in this game, now trailing 4-3 as the Bombers celebrate with McDonough in the dugout.
Dugout comes to join him on a home run try. My goodness, he drives in Colin Feeney, and now Camden Laney, who has lined out and flown out today, or fouled out in his last at-bat, pardon me. He now has an opportunity. He represents the tying run as he's at the plate right now.
And Laney, another Bomber who has found a lot of success this year and also has some power. Not quite as much as McDonough, as he only has 3 home runs currently on the year so far.
That was just a beautifully hit ball. My goodness. I didn't see it as it came off the bat. I just felt it.
And you have to keep in mind, Parker, remember, like we spoke about a lot, the wind is carrying today, and the wind definitely helped bring that one out because that was more of a line drive home run than anything.
Absolutely correct. That ball a little bit high, 2-0 on that. And it seems like the catcher's starting to get a little bit concerned as Matt Mayer will go out to talk to Eric Servain. And the infield coming in too. And
we're getting a little bit of action over in that Brockport dugout now as McDonough had just hit that home run.
I don't think you can make a substitution during an at-bat unless there's an injury. So I believe they're just going to be waiting on this one, a full infield meeting. The coach, obviously, for Clarkson not coming out, they call a full infield meeting to try and slow down Servain a little bit. But with no outs on the board in Ithaca, obviously their first 2 batters either get on base or ding it to clear the bases. If he ends up letting another batter on board, I think they have to pull him for the day.
You're going to have to figure that'd be it for him. With Laney on base and then Fantel up behind him, who, like we said earlier, is one of the best Bombers hitters even as a first year.
That one, finally a strike after he gets a second to catch his breath to Laney. Laney checking the strike zone with the ump real quick before he steps back into the box. Very close to the plate in a wide stance. Power hitter stance. It's what you want to see.
You're right, Parker. That left foot is almost out of the batter's box.
2-1 pitch is driven deep to center field, and it's going to fall right near the 405 sign. It's going to be infield in play. It's only going to be a double. They'll cut it off just in time, but he taps his forearm, showing that power. Ryan, like we said, a lot of strength behind that Laney stance. He's going to tap in for a pinch runner. So like we talked about earlier today, no, he's just going to hand his gloves off. Luckily, he does not have to tap out from this game. He did get on base and pinch out when he was coming back from injury, but this time around, he's going to stay in, represent himself on base, stay in this game in the 5th inning, and he represents the tying run on second as up to bat comes another power hitter in Ethan Fantel. They're keeping Eric Servan out there, even after he just gave up his 3rd consecutive base runner, his 2nd consecutive extra base hit.
And like you said, Parker, Laney was pinch ran for in his last game after getting walked by just his pure appearance, pinch hitting.
Fantel, power, dribbles that. It gets to second base. They're going to get that to first base in time, but it will advance the runner. It's not a sacrifice anything because no runs scored, but a great first out for Fantel. Some good power, dribbles it off the infield grass. It skips to the second baseman in Indec, gets it back to Eldred in time to get the out, but not before, Laney gets advanced all the way to 3rd.
And that's going to put the tying run of the game in scoring position with Matt Curtis coming up here, who already has a double in this game.
So Fantel grounds out for his 2nd time getting out today. He walked back in the 3rd inning, but now up to bat is Matt Curtis, who had a double earlier in the game and was the Bombers' 1st run scored. Now he has a chance to drive in the Bombers' 4th run of the day, as he's all the way on 3rd base right now, but he's in a 0-1 count. 1 out on the board. Servan delivers. That is hit with some good power, but it's a little bit high. The shortstop goes back. It's a routine catch, and there's not enough room to tag for Laney. So that's going to be the 2nd out of the day, and the sacrifice fly is now no longer in play for the Bombers. And Servan cleans up pretty well after allowing a bad first 3 batters.
And that's now going to bring up Peterson, who is 0 for 2 currently on the day, as he's going to come up with a runner on 3rd base, the tying run, and try to do something, get the Bombers tied up in this game for the first time since the 2nd inning.
Peterson grounded out twice today, but based on the numbers, he's due for 1, batting .279 on the year. Only has 6 RBIs on the year, though. He would love his 7th right here, as he takes that one just inside for strike 1.
Peterson looks a little confused on that pitch, but that pitch was inside according to the umpire.
You can see his left foot. He stands very close to the plate. It doesn't move your strike zone. It just moves where you actually are in relation to the ball. He was a little bit close on that one. That is slugged right to second base. It didn't ever touch the ground, so that'll be a quick line out to the second base spot. The Bombers cannot capitalize on their runner on 3rd, but they do bring this game back to within 1, evening up the counts in hits. So it is currently Golden Eagles 4, Bombers 3. We will be right back to see how pitching develops for both teams, but stay with us to see how the batting for either Ithaca or Golden Eagles will end up putting this game away. So stay with us here on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream.
And we are back here in the top of the 6th inning with Brockport coming up to bat. The middle of the order coming up with Story, Dixon, and Meyer. And Story leading off the inning right now. Currently 0 for 2 on the day with a hit by pitch.
And you see John Griffin back out there to pitch for the Bombers. He's had a solid couple of outings. Obviously, he did allow the last runner to score against him, but not his fault, not his responsibility, as he's been pretty clean so far today.
Story now 1-0 in the count. Waiting for the second pitch. Watches it for ball 2 as that went high. Griffin looking for the strike zone again. And Parker, as you noted, he tends to be a little more missing the strike zone with these left-handed hitters compared to the right-handed hitters. Third pitch of the bat coming here. Away and high for ball 3. Now 3-0 count here at Story.
It's a game of matchups. It's why some managers up at the pro level love to try to mix up the way that they match up their handedness of their pitchers and their batters. That being said, it doesn't end up being all that much at the end of the day, as that is a 4th pitch walk. Are you kidding me?
And that's going to be Story's second time reaching base today. We now have a walk and a hit by pitch, and that's going to bring up Dixon for the 4th time today, as he is third time today, as he is 0 for 1 with a walk. Dixon going to try to look to make something happen as the Bombers just got this game back within 1, now leading 4-3 here.
Dixon as due for one as anybody, hitting .394 on the year in his 21 starts.
And Ithaca is going to play him really close over at third base, as he almost went past the pitcher there.
Well, when he shows bunt so aggressively, you got to be ready to play it, especially since you've already rung up a double play today.
I mean, Lobster was pretty much within 5 feet of the batter at that point.
After a 4-pitch walk, it might be time. Yep, they're going to take the ball away.
Hey,
my goodness.
Missed 5 pitches in a row, and Ithaca's going to the dugout now with a runner on first base, as we will get who's coming out here shortly.
So the runner on first will be Griffin's responsibility, but they end up pulling him and bring in a fresh substitution, a bit of a fresh arm, and now the bullpen game becomes a true bullpen game for the Bombers as they get ready to bring in their third starter. I still can't see the numbers, Ryan. You got who that is?
It is number 12 for the Bombers. That would be
Colin Lehner.
He's
got a 5.10 ERA in his 10 appearances. He's usually a starter when he does appear. He's started 9 games for the Bombers. Very solid. It doesn't seem like they're going to bring him out too much for this game. Maybe you're just using him for the rest of the game if you want to see if you can keep everybody else fresh. But I don't know why you're bringing in a starter if it's for the long haul. Maybe it's just to keep him fresh, make sure he doesn't get too rusty.
Well,
but he's pitched more innings for the Bombers than anyone else this season.
Lehner last appeared on Sunday and only pitched 3 innings. It was a little bit roughed up, giving up 2 earned runs over 3 innings. Coming out here now in the 6th inning, probably trying to get a couple surefire outs. It's probably close in this game, wants to keep it close so they can win.
Now, Lehner has thrown 1 relief appearance already this year. That being said, you still expect him to be your starter most of the time, even with Reed Bailey back in the rotation, almost full time now. It's just a weird spot to be in. That being said, you got to trust Coach Valicente. It's a close game. He wants to see if he can pin back Brockport. After a tough start to the game, they managed to fight their way back.
And keep in mind, Lehner now coming in here with a runner on first base. And Griffin having thrown the first pitch of the at-bat to Dixon, Lehner's going to be given a 1-0 count here. And the batter would be credited to Lehner if he were to reach base. It's a little bit of a strange situation coming into this in the middle of an at-bat with already having a 1-0 count. And now Dixon stepping back into the box here as Lehner finished throwing his warm-up pitches there as we get set with runner on first. Nobody out here. Ithaca trailing 4-3. Each team 6 hits apiece so far in this game. Lehner set for the pitch, throws over to first base. Not going to get Story over there as he slid back in safely.
Uses one of his better pickoff moves, though. You can just see the flick of the wrist. It's different when you were such an experienced starting pitcher for the Bombers. He just shows some really good arm control. It was a great move as he delivers for the first time today.
And that's going to be grounded through the left side, and that's going to put runners on first and second, nobody out, as Dixon gets his first hit of the game, advancing Story over to second base. And now you're going to have Meyer coming up, and he's already one for one today with a walk.
That was a nice-looking pitch from Lehner across the plate pretty cleanly. But at the same time, you're up against a Brockport team who just makes contact. They make contact all the time, and Dixon gets his first hit on the day, advancing the runners.
And Meyer coming up here as in the catching position, and he's been solid so far this game so far. And he's going to bunt it down to the third base side, and they're going to take the out at first base, and the runners are going to advance to second and third. Now 1 out, both runners in scoring position. With Brockport now playing small ball, they've been kind of looking for the bunt all day, but that's their first time pulling it off successfully.
It's almost like you're trying to steal first when you bunt like that. Just ends up being a bit of a tight spot. Wasn't quite fast enough, was Mayer on that, but I don't know if the goal with 0 outs on the board was ever to get himself on base. It would have been a nice bonus. You're really just trying to advance your runners. Now with 2 in scoring position, you bring up Victor Alongi, who has had a pair of RBI singles already today.
He has 3 RBIs on the game, 3 of the 4 RBIs for Brockport as he watches that first pitch in for a strike, now down the count 0-1.
Lehner's going to try to retire Alongi for the first time today, is really the story of this at-bat for me.
And Alongi has been a threat all game, which may have induced Meyer trying to advance the runners to second and third and put them both in scoring position. And Alongi now down in the count 0-2 as he swung and missed at that last pitch.
Feeney definitely, I almost called him Feeney, pardon me. Lehner did not love having that first batter in a 1-0 count to start. It made him a little tight. Now he gets a fresh batter, and he's been happy about it.
Lehner getting that first pitch, just missing wide, as now it's 2-2 count here, Alongi evening it up, trying to find a way to get on base and keep this perfect day for him going at the plate.
Wind has shifted once again. It is blowing squarely out towards left center field.
Wind a little abrupt today, Parker, don't you think?
2 shifts already this game. Pretty aggressive. Swung on.
And strike 3 and swing and a miss. And now that's going to get the second out of the inning for Lehner, and that's going to bring up Grazapane for as the next batter with 2 runners in scoring position.
Had an RBI triple is how it ended up being. Well, it got rescored to a single with a set of errors. Regardless, an RBI single, nonetheless.
Although the run was not earned on that play.
Oh, so it wasn't an RBI single either? He just lost everything about the credit of that at-bat?
Yes, he just gets a base hit in that at-bat.
Yeah, all right. Whatever. He shouldn't be upset about that at all. He definitely won't take that out on the Bombers right here.
Yep, because that run went unearned because it would have been the final. The runner would not have scored as the next batter was recorded out.
Well, you know what? That does make a ton of sense once you actually break it down.
It's a weird, confusing rule. I've had this conversation numerous times. It's always a fun one, though, for me.
We have seen a development, though. Grazapane is going to be done for the day. Plene, pardon me, is done for the day, as he will be pinched in for by number 12, Nick Maher, who is batting .255 on the year in his 20 appearances. This will be his 21st.
So it's first at bat of the day as he comes up here with 2 outs and both runners in scoring position on second and third, as Colin Lehner is going to try to get out of this inning with no damage, as he misses very high for ball 1. And keep in mind, the runner at third base would be charged to Griffin. Lehner only responsible for the runner at second base, as the wind starts picking up again and blowing out to left field. Lehner with the pitch for ball 2 now, down with him down the count 2-0. Maher trying to make something happen here. Barker, like you said, another Brockport batter who is no slouch at the plate.
No, even their bench can be absolutely deadly. Again, there is the discussion about whether the Empire 8 is that competitive, but still, tough situation.
And that ball was popped up but missed with all the wind. It could not be corralled by the third baseman for the final out of the inning, so they're going to do the bat again.
Luckily, it fell foul. Labsher still beating himself up, throws his fist into his glove. He is not pleased about not getting there. Sure, the wind took it and it got away from him, but that was a very shallow foul right to him at third base. You got to make that play.
And watching that ball come down, it's hard. You do feel bad for the guys. It was kind of moving wildly through the air with all the changing winds. But now 2-1 count to Maher and Lehner pitching. Lehner with the pitch. Ball 3. Now 3-1 count here. Runners on second and third. Ithaca down 4-3 in the game. 2 outs in the inning. Lehner's going to be trying to find a way out of this inning. Allow no damage here and give the Bombers a chance to tie it in the bottom of the 6th.
That one was well outside. Lehner already walked 18 batters this season.
Lehner, when he can find the plate, is very, very productive. And that ball is going to be lined out to center field. and dropped, and that's going to bring home 2 runs, and Maher is going to stay over at first base, and that's going to give Brockport a 6-3 lead here.
A second critical mistake by Colin Feeney today with the eve of the playoffs upon us. That is a kind of mistake that you cannot afford to have in just 3 days here on Freeman Field. He's got to really tighten that up as he now lets this game get away from the Bombers again. They score a pair of runs to the Golden Eagles.
And that's going to be a play that Feeney has to have there. Dropping that ball. I know it wasn't hit directly at him and it was hit hard, but you got to have that ball there.
You want to blame the wind. You want to blame everything else. What can't be blamed, that's an E8 at the end of the day. That is an error on Colin Feeney. That is a critical mistake, especially considering he has only reached base on error and a walk today. He hasn't been great offensively. He's just got to steady it up. He is one of the leaders of this team. He's expected to do big things in the playoffs. These are the moments you can't have. And now Brockport really looking to take control of this game.
And now the top of the order coming back up with Vasilata coming back up to the plate for the 4th time today. 0 for 3 on the day so far with a double play, a strikeout, and a flyout. And Lehner trying to get out of this inning. Now will minimize damage. As Vasilata looks for the bunt but pulls it back there for ball 1. None of those runs being earned as the ball was dropped in the outfield. Now 6-3 game. 3 unearned runs on the Bombers here so far in this game. With the pitch. Watch for strike 1 as a 1-1 count. That ball was borderline strike called with the Brockport dugout not too happy about that pitch.
Frank Vanziata started out this game by striking out. He fouled out later in the appearance. But he hasn't been his electrifying self today. But you know what that means, Ryan? He certainly do.
Yeah. A lot of the top of this order today has been mostly kept in check. It's been the bottom of the order for Brockport doing most of the damage. And now Lehner getting set for the pitch. Strike 2 now there for Vasilata, and now it's going to be a 1-2 count here.
Fundamental stuff from Colin Lehner. That one just floated right over the plate. A really solid delivery. If Vanziata had gotten a good eye on that one, that could have been absolutely smashed. But that's Colin Lehner's magic. He really can be that lockdown guy when you need him to be.
Lehner, when he can find the plate, he is very, very electric on the mound. However, when he can't find the plate, that's when he starts to get himself into trouble. And he's going to be here in a 2-2 count with the top of the order up here, and it's 2 outs in the inning. And that's going to be inside for ball 3. And Vasilata now fighting his way back from a 1-2 count to a full count with the payoff pitch coming up next.
He's done that already this game. Very good patience, exactly what you want in a leadoff hitter. And if he's able to draw this walk, you're bringing up the 2 most dangerous hitters on this team.
Yeah, and he has been, and that pitch was thrown over to first base, checking on the runner in Maher over there. And now we're going to get ready for the payoff pitch yet again, the 6th pitch of the at-bat. And Lehner kind of throwing the ball around a little over there on the mound. Not something you see too often, as if he drops that could be considered a balk there.
Quick conversation happening between umps, making sure that everything is, between the third base coach for Ithaca and the umps, making sure third base coach for Brockport, correction.
Yeah. Now the umpire back in position over at second base as Lehner gets ready to throw the 6th pitch of the at-bat. Popped up right by the catcher, should be playable. And the final out of the inning as the Bombers give up 2 runs here in the top of the 6th. 6-3 ball game now. And the Bombers are going to have to try to fight way back yet again, now down 3 runs for the 2nd time in this game. And the Bombers are going to have the bottom of the order coming up with Scully, Lobsher, and Brody, the batter, set in the bottom of the 6th inning here.
And then if they're able to get one of those on base, it's going to be redemption time for Colin Feeney. Obviously, he's been on base. He scored just an inning ago, but at the same time, he's got some anger that he needs to work out against this Brockport Golden Eagles team. After an error that put the Bombers in a very bad spot, they're currently down 6-3, obviously. He wants a little bit of revenge. The rest of this team wants a little bit of revenge.
Feeney having a little bit of a rough game here so far today. 2 errors on the game, costing the Bombers 3 runs so far. And what is the difference currently in this game?
Absolutely correct. Those 2 errors on the board are ugly. They've had 6 hits. They've been just as competitive as they need to be in any game, especially a game where you didn't expect your pitching to be anything special, but your pitching has really been about as solid as you can expect from a bullpen game. These are guys in Danny Drodos, John Griffin, now Colin Lehner, who is one of your more solid, dependable guys. But those first 2, you weren't expecting anything special from, and they held you in a very good spot for the majority of this game. The offense has under-delivered, the pitching has over-delivered, and the fielding has just been a bit of a disappointment for the Bombers.
And like you were saying, Parker, those first 2 pitchers in Drodos and Griffin really kind of made something out of nothing, really, against this high-powered Brockport lineup and really found their way through those first couple innings, only allowing 3 earned runs so far in the game.
And now for the first time today, a new pitcher on the bump for the Brockport Golden Eagles. It's going to be number 11, Nick Ianiello, he is going to be up for the Golden Eagles today. 8 appearances, has not started a game this year. He is one of their go-to relievers. 3.65 ERA in his 12 1/3 innings pitched. Only walked 9 batters, has struck out 15 of them. That is the kind of ratio you want to see. Brockport now feeling like this isn't a game that doesn't matter anymore. This is a game we want to win and feel great about going into the playoffs. They bring in a killer. In Ianiello.
He has been electric so far for Brockport and so productive, like you said, Parker. And now he's going to get the bottom of this Bombers order here, try to get through this inning easily, and just keep Brockport with this lead as they try to cruise to the win in the final game of the regular season. And that pitch was washed by Scully for a ball 1 in this count now, as the Bombers need base runners yet again, down 3 runs. And that pitch is going to be in there for strike 1 of the at bat. Now a 1-1 count here to Scully with Lobsher and Brody to follow in this inning. Scully currently 0 for 2 on the day with a strikeout and a pop fly to the shortstop earlier in the game. And now that's going to be strike 2 called there for a 1-2 count.
Like we've said before, Scully, part of this great catching rotation, but when you're not batting every single day, you do get a little bit of that decay in your game. So he doesn't catch any of these games, so you get some good contact there.
And that ball is going to be struck foul into the Brockport dugout, and now that's going to be and the count is going to stay 1-2 here.
Look out below in the bullpen for the Golden Eagles. They've got a couple of guys warming up and making sure they're all stretched out. They all want to stay fresh for the playoffs coming up just this weekend. They've got a lot of people coming to town for a crossover series of their own. Scully
watches that pitch for ball 2. Now a 2-2 count here. Scully trying to find his way onto base for the first time today. And the sole player in the bottom of this Bombers order that has not yet found his way on base, as both Lobster and Brody have found their way on base twice today. And Scully is going to fly that one out into left field, and it's going to be easy play for the first out of the inning. And now you're going to have Lobster coming up here. He's already 2 for 2 today with an RBI back in the second inning. 2 base hits for Lobster.
I criticized the Brockport left fielder Blake earlier in this game for being so far over in left field, over by that 358 sign, over by the scoreboard. That being said, it's been exactly where he's needed to be for a couple of routine flyouts. He hasn't even had to move the last 2 times the ball's been hit his way. Perfect positioning for him. Just a bit meant that one ended up really getting away from him earlier in this game.
And Lobster now watched that first pitch in for ball 1. And he's the only batter that Brockport has not been yet able to retire today, as he takes strike 1 now, and now in a 1-1 count.
Like you said, a pair of singles for the third baseman in Lobster, having a great day next to the plate. I don't want to call it behind the plate, next to the plate, as he fights his way to a 1-1 count.
As he fouled that pitch off now in a 1-2 count. And something to notice here with this Bombers lineup is they tend to hug the plate a lot, with most of them standing almost on top of the plate, seemingly like a lot of times out of the batter's box almost.
And that's what ends up putting you in a position like we saw Scully on last time he was up, where you're fighting it off and maybe you do get hit by a pitch, but it doesn't matter because you are standing so close to the plate.
And Lobster out for the first time today with a strikeout here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Going to bring up Brody with 2 outs here now. And the Bombers really do need to try to find a way to get some runners on base yet again, down 3 in this game, and try to get the top of the order. And like you said, Feeney would follow here if Brody can find his way on base, likely with a chip on his shoulder.
Absolutely, but Feeney needs to find his way back on base. Obviously, he singled in the 2nd inning, but flew out in the 4th inning ended that inning for the Bombers. He's trying not to be the ending of the inning this time around.
Brody just watched that first pitch for strike one. Now watching another pitch for strike two there. And now down in the count 0-2. And Brody already 1 for 2 on today with a single back in the second inning and then a pop out to the shortstop earlier in the game back in the fourth.
Ryan, a quick weather update for you. The wind continuing to blow out towards left center field, but a pretty heavy cloud system starting to come in. This game got moved up by 2 hours in response to potential calls of weather. Now this whole game needs to speed up just a little bit if they want to avoid what feels like some oncoming rain.
Yeah. And now Brody in the count 1-2 and looking to find a way on base and backs off as that pitch was inside at the knees and evens up the count 2-2. Brody slashing shortstop, like we've mentioned a few times today, has been phenomenal at the plate this year, batting about 280, and try to get on base with the pitch. Swung at and line down the right field line, just fair, and he's going to try to stretch this out into a double, and he's in standing with a base runner now, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Colin Feeney coming up, and Feeney is definitely, I would say, probably going to be aggressive in this at bat.
That was gorgeous. It just kissed the first base line all the way out in right field. The fielder did get there in plenty of time to keep him at second base, so it ended up being a relatively solid fielding play, but now it's going to be a meeting on the mound for Brockport and the Golden Eagles. I don't expect him to pull one of their solid relievers, obviously, as we've discussed, in Ianello. But now with Feeney up to bat, like you said, who is going to be angry, who hasn't had a true hit yet today and is certainly due for one, and they've got a runner in scoring position, you need to adjust your strategy a little bit.
And Feeney has already reached base twice today on an error and stole a base back in the first inning and walked in the 5th inning. And Feeney, again, really just going to be probably aggressive here. And keep in mind, he also scored back in the 5th inning as well on the McDonough home run, which had originally brought the Bombers within 2. And now Feeney coming up here again in the 6th inning, especially after committing that error last inning. I'm going to expect him to really be trying to do something here and almost pay back his pitchers.
Absolutely correct. Feeney, 13 extra base hits on the year, 13 of his 44. They've been of all varieties, but he is in a spot where he would love to bring this runner home, to bring this game back within 2. But also I'm looking at that number, 3 home runs on the year. He is also hungry for a 4th, as that is driving, the wind is driving right back towards that 405 sign in left center field.
And Feeney takes the first pitch for strike one. And I'm not expecting Feeney to try to do too much here. You just want to put this ball in play, try to get a base hit, and close the gap at least a little bit, as there is still some time left to play, as we are only in the bottom of the 6th inning. You don't want to try to do too much here, and you don't want to be swinging for the fences, which is typically a high strikeout to home run ratio, as he watches that pitch now for ball 1 in a 1-1 count.
I feel you on that one, Ryan. 21 strikeouts on the year, obviously, for Feeney. Top 3 on the team. Definitely strikes out a little more than you would like, but with such a beautiful swing and the number of at-bats he's had, it's actually a pretty respectable ratio considering he's also been walked 20 times.
And Feeney takes that third pitch in the at-bat for now strike 2. Has yet to swing the a bat in this at-bat here. I know I just said bat a lot, but sometimes it can't be helped.
It's all right. A lot of patience from Feeney. We called him angry. He's showing a good amount of measured peace.
And now 1-2 count here, 2 outs. Runner on second base in scoring position. And he's going to swing that ball. It's going to be hit towards the right fielder and corralled for the 3rd out of the inning. And the Bombers still trailing 6-3 after giving up 2 runs in the top of the 6th. And when we come back, we're going to be in the top of the 7th inning here with 3 innings left to play. I'm going with what the scoreboard says as they
You're probably right. We're going to err on the side of them, but you're probably correct in actuality.
I think they're unearned because that would have been the final out of the inning if he hadn't struck the ball. If that wouldn't have been the final out, I think they would have been earned. But because it would have gotten them out of the inning, I think that's why.
Welcome back to Freeman Field here on the South Hill. Parker Holland and Ryan Collins along with you. We are into inning number 7 of SUNY Brockport and the Golden Eagles against Ithaca College and the Bombers. It's currently 6-3 in favor of the Golden Eagles thanks to a litany of errors by the Bombers. 2 in center field by Colin Feeney that have led to multiple runs scoring. But now they've brought out an equalizer. They've called on starting pitcher Colin Lehner to come out and try to balance the scales a little bit. Now he has to face a tough part of this Brockport lineup, Ryan.
And Lehner coming back out here for his second inning in relief. Unusual for him, as typically he is a starter in his second relief appearance of the year. And he's going to try to get through the top of this order, I believe.
Yeah, it's Indeck, Eldred, and Blake. Not what you want to see if you're any pitcher, because this is where things get scary. It's 1-1, and he deals that one inside, so he's going to be in a batter's count against Josh Indeck, who's been pretty solid today. Had a single and then was caught stealing, struck out looking, and then walked, and it was advanced to second on what was, I believe, a successful stealing attempt.
Yes, you are right, Parker. And now he's down, even in the count 2-2 here.
Indeck, a very aggressive swinger. Batting in that second spot usually ends up being one of the 2 setup men for Zach Eldred, who's been pretty quiet today, all things considered, as a pitch gets away from the catcher Scully. So now the count goes full.
Indeck here going to try to find his way on base for the 3rd time today. Like you mentioned, Parker, caught stealing back in the 1st, walked in the 5th.
Lehner, payoff pitch. Swung on. It's going to be bounced over the third baseman's head into shallow left field. He's going to make it cleanly to first. Runs almost like he's going to second, but does not. He second guesses himself at the last second. Pulls up. I think he would have been caught if he had tried to stretch that into a double. So a clean single.
Likely trying to draw a throw there, see if he can cause further errors in this Bombers outfield today. Had there been an error, he would have easily advanced to second, but he was escaped back to first base.
But now, up at bat is the man who terrifies every Empire 8 athlete in their sleep. It's Zach Eldred as he swings on the first pitch from Lehner, and that is fouled straight over the press box. I don't even think it's come down yet.
Eldridge mostly kept in check today so far, with only a base hit back in the 1st inning, then struck out in the 3rd, and hit into a fielder's choice back in the 5th inning. Mostly kept in check, not able to do too much today. And now Lehner here trying to find his way through the top of the 7th inning, keeping the Bombers close.
With the 0-1 pitch, Lehner wants to keep Eldred in check today, taking his sweet time on the mound. That one a little bit high, a little bit outside, and the count will go even at 1-1. No one even looking over to the second baseman in Indeck, who is on first base right now. He's not taking too aggressive a lead, and Lehner doesn't really care about him. He cares about the opponent in front of him as he deals. That's swung on. It's foul. It's going to stay in the park, so it's in play for a foul out. Someone calls for it, and it's going to get away from the shortstop and Brody. He got clipped on the shoulder by the left fielder and Matt Curtis. That was a miscommunication. Brody staring at Curtis. I don't think he had anything nice to say on that play. I think it was cleanly in Brody's glove, and it got clipped out of him by the collision with Curtis.
Brody and Curtis colliding there. I'm not sure if either one of them had the ball in their glove, but nonetheless, no one had that pop fly in the foul territory in left field, and now you're going to give Eldridge another chance to cause some damage here in this game.
More life for Zach Eldred, not what you want to give him in a spot like this. You've got a runner in scoring position. Brockport in a position to extend their lead. Dealt, crossed the plate, called a little bit low for ball 2 in a 2-2 count. As football practice starts ramping up behind us, Ryan, it's spring football time.
Oh, and they're loud and getting ready.
One beat. I don't know. I wonder if the baseball team has a slogan, because I know women's basketball this year had the slogan "One Boat," as that is driven into deep center field. It looks like it's going to be a little bit too high, and that's going to be played on Colin Feeney, a bit of redemption as he makes a routine fly-out catch right in center field. And it was no aggression, from Josh Indek, who sits at first base once he saw where that was flying. The wind picking up, it's not enough to cause a mistake.
Yeah, now you're going to have cleanup hitter Blake coming on up with a race, with a runner over at first base in Indek, who does like to run the bases like we've mentioned earlier.
Kyle Blake, nothing too strong to speak of. He did strike out looking in the third, as that is smoked past the third baseman into shallow left field. It's only going to advance everybody by one, but a lovely first pitch single for Kyle Blake.
Parker, I think he heard you. I think he said, "Oh, I haven't done anything today yet." You're right. And now going from 0-3 to 1-for-4.
Beautiful start to the inning so far for the Golden Eagles. Only one out on the board, but they've got runners on first and second. Already a 3-run lead, and they get to bring up a guy in Jones Story, who has gotten on base twice today. He's, I believe, Ryan, you can correct me, I think he's 0 for 1 today, but was hit by a pitch and walked, scored one of those times, got to third the other.
You are exactly right, Parker. He has had a productive day and a lot of at-bats, but really only 0 for 1.
Finds himself down in the count on the rare occasion. He's in an 0-1 spot with only one out. Runners on first and second. He's due for a hit. Lander's pitch to Story is swung on for strike one. It was under the bat.
That was a nasty curveball there, Parker. It started out way over the plate and just dove at the last second right by Blake.
That's the kind of motion you need from your starting pitcher. And I'd like to think that Lander's just getting his arm nice and worked up for the playoff push that the Bombers are about to go on. As he delivers, that's swung on again. It's low. He actually went down on one knee, and he is struck out on that. The second out of the day goes to Jones Story, who went down on one knee, Ryan, to try to get under that pitch, but he just bit on the curve once again.
That may have been Lander's best two pitches of the game right there. Blake did not have a great at-bat there, just swinging wildly essentially at those two pitches. But I think Lander just had so much movement on those because they both started dead center on the plate and then dove towards the bottom of the batter's box.
He needs that sequence against Dixon, and they break the rule. Final out, made at third base. A routine grounder dealt straight to Laubscher. He jogs to third base, gets the out, and Dixon represents the final out of the inning. Ithaca able to pull a scoreless inning from the jaws of two base runners on. So the score remains 6-3 in favor of the Golden Eagles. When we come back, Ryan's got the eighth. We're going to see if Ithaca can bring anything back. Actually, pardon me, it's just going to be the seventh inning.
Parker, you're staying here in the second, in the bottom of the seventh inning here. The Bombers still have to take some at-bats here.
And we don't even need to take a break.
No.
I mean, we could if you really want. No, we're good. All right.
We're going to hang out with you guys, and with Feeney, McDonough, and Laney leading off this inning, the top of the Bombers' order here in the top of the seventh inning, and it should be a eventful inning nonetheless for the Bombers.
You and I agree on that. Nick Iannello staying out after a scary last inning. He did not actually end up allowing anything too bad. He allowed a runner to get all the way to third, but he clinched up after that. And Iannello is going to have to fight a pretty tough part of the Bombers' lineup any other day in the form of McDonough, Laney, and Fantel. But in all fairness, it's not like, other than McDonough, it's been a pretty quiet day. McDonough obviously went yard last time he was up.
Two RBI home run earlier in the game, back in the fifth for McDonough, like you mentioned, and he's going to be leading off this inning here for the Bombers with Laney and Fantel to follow. The Bombers are going to need to try to get something going here, running out of time, down 3. I'm going to be expecting a lot from them here.
Yeah, but I'll correct myself, Ryan. They started the game really quiet. But Laney did double immediately after McDonough went yard. So these are two guys who are finding their stride at the right time. And if the Bombers need them to get them back in this game, this is exactly where they could do it. Facing off against a guy like Iannello, who is certainly no slouch, but has allowed 10 hits already on the year.
And Iannello staying in for Brockport to pitch this inning with a fairly productive last inning, but it should be a nasty pitch as he starts off the inning.
Iannello up early in the count, delivers. Outside, ball one.
Iannello, one of the best Brockport pitches here in this bullpen, and that's purely just off the stuff he has some nasty breaking ball pitches.
And he gets strike one right across the plate as McDonough watches it. He's trying to get a sense for what the first reliever he's seen all day wants against him. And he wants to drive another one, let's be honest. And he smokes that to right field, but that's going to be a little too short. Looks like it'll be routine, and it's going to be popped right out to Story in the right field side. So McDonough retired after sending one all the way out of the park the last time he was up, pardon me. But now the responsibility comes back to the designated hitter in Laney. He kept the momentum going for the Bombers last time he was up, hit a beautiful double right out. And now he wants to keep it going.
So far in this game, Iannello has been solid for Brockport in relief, retiring an inning and a third so far, including the first batter in this inning.
Laney ended the night for Surveyan, effectively, with his double last time he was up. Now he's back up just 2 innings later, as he takes that pitch down for ball 1. He is in a 1-1 count.
Laney, a powerful hitter, and really trying to spark something here in the bottom of the 7th for the Bombers as they start to run out of time.
Takes the pitch from Iannello for strike 2. Hasn't struck out yet today, has Laney. By the numbers, he might be due for one, although he can be quite patient. But he's 1 for 3 today already, lined out and flew out earlier in this game before he ended up smoking that double.
Lots of room up the middle on that left side with the third baseman playing way towards the line.
Iannello delivers, and it is called strike 3. Laney rung up on strikes. He looks at almost all of them. And that is the second straight out for Iannello. And now he gets to face Ethan Vantel, who might be the most due that a Bomber could be right now. He did get walked in the 3rd, but he is 0 for 2 today on a pop-out and a ground-out.
I will say that ground-out back in the 5th inning was fairly productive, getting the tying run at the time into over the third base.
Wouldn't that have been nice? Now they're down 6-3. But Vantel early down in an 0-1 count, as Iannello wants to finish his second inning.
Iannello yet to allow a hit since coming into this game. Excuse me, he gave up 1 hit to Brody back in the 5th or 6th.
Chipped away by Vantel. That goes behind him for strike 2 on a foul ball.
And Vantel getting ready to try to do something here in this at-bat down 0-2.
Iannello, 0-2 pitch. That one's a little bit low, and Vantel did not bite, so he'll stay alive at 1-2. Vantel, someone who has really earned his way onto this roster, didn't get all that attention like we talked about during the spring break trip, but ever since coming back, there were a couple of illnesses on the roster, there were a couple of questionables, a couple of injuries, and he grabbed onto that first base starting spot and has not let go. As he swings on a 1-2 pitch, and it is chipped down to the dirt, gets away from the second baseman, and that'll be a nice single. His first hit on the day, if it is not ruled an error, it got out of the glove of Indek. Skipped right out of him.
I'm not sure that ever hit the glove at Indek, but that definitely took an awkward hop at the edge of the infield right before it hit the grass in the outfield and just found its way into right field.
That's the reason fielding grounders might be the most popular baseball warm-up in the world, because you never know exactly how one's going to skip against this dirt, especially with so many guys on both these teams who loves to run the bases and steal pretty aggressively. So now up to bat, it's going to be Matt Curtis, who would love to help drive his guy home. But he takes the first pitch for a strike.
And that's going to be ruled a hit for Vantel, so he's going to have his first hit of the game.
That's what you love to see if you were Ethan Vantel. You needed one today. You want to be contributing. As Curtis had his double to get the scoring going for the Bombers in this game, he ended up scoring from that position. But since then, been quiet, popped out in the 5th, and he is in a 1-1 count right now.
And now you got Vantel up here. Walked back in the 3rd, hit, and then popped out and hit into a fielder's choice.
Vantel taking a nice lead as that pitch is delivered for ball 2, pardon me.
Don't think Vantel is going anywhere as one of these few Bombers who isn't prone to stealing bases, though.
Hey, he's 2 for 2 this year, Ryan. I don't know. I wouldn't doubt the guy. But at the same time, 2 outs on the board. I don't see it taking a lot of risks in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Especially down 3 runs.
Iannello delivers. That is swung on, popped up very, very high, and the second baseman getting under it. That will be Indek, delivering the 3rd out after allowing the base runner. But that will be the end of the 7th inning. Bombers do not manage to get any more runs on the board, so it will remain 6-3 in favor of the Brockport Golden Eagles. When we come back, Ryan will take back over for the top of the 8th, and we'll see if the Golden Eagles continue to pour it on. Stay with us here on the Ithaca College Athletic Stream.
I've heard it's very good. I just don't really watch TV or movies. I watch sports, and that's about it. Ready? Yep. And we are back here in the top of the 8th inning. I'm Ryan Collins here with Parker Hollandoner, and we're in a fairly close ball game with the Bombers down 6-3, and they're leaving the field currently. As I'm not sure why, could be coming into a rain delay here with stormy clouds seeming to cover over the field.
We will have an update for you very shortly, but it seems like this game has been stopped for one reason or another. So when we may come back if we have updates for you. If you don't hear our voices again, it means this game is over. Actually, we're waiting on a final update from our guy, but we're going to toss to break. If you don't hear from us again, it means the end of the game. If that is true, thank you so much for being here. Parker Hollandoner for Ryan Collins. You'll have updates. Stay tuned to the College Athletic Stream.
And we are back. It looks like there is some lightning currently in the area, but it's not close enough yet to delay the game. So the Bombers are taking the field, throwing some warm-up pitches, getting ready here for the top of the 8th inning with the Bombers down 3. We will keep you posted as the situation unfolds throughout the inning. But right now, we're going to get set for the top of the 8th.
It's just reminding me of my days lifeguarding, Ryan, back when the law is, if you are running a pool, you have to close if there is a lightning strike within 10 miles or if you hear thunder, because they mean basically the same thing. Just because there is lightning in the area, you got to be safe. On the South Hill, when you are in such an elevated area, even with the lightning rods that are here on the Sriracha building, you got to be as safe as possible, so we're going to see how things end up developing. Luckily, the rain would end up wiping away the bees, but we have to go if we end up feeling any rain. So hopefully we can continue enjoying this great baseball game.
Yeah. So far, it's been an exciting game. 9 runs scored between these two teams here in the top of the 8th inning.
And I just saw one heck of a lightning strike over on, I don't think it's technically called the West Hill. I think it's just the outskirts of Ithaca, but it is just northwest of us. And one heck of a lightning strike.
And that's heading our way. But right now we have Meyer, Alongi, and Maher due up in this inning currently for Brockport, with Meyer down, and even in the count 1-1.
And I just realized I have to walk back to the park school after this game wraps up, no matter what. So, and then I have to take a bus home. So I'm not too pleased about this whole situation right now.
Yeah. Well, now here, Meyer 2-1 count, with Lehner still on the mound for the Bombers, trying to get through this inning quickly to give the Bombers a chance to tie it up in the bottom of the 8th.
I guess I should probably start talking about baseball again. Brockport been very solid on the bats today. Lehner brought in as an equalizer to try to calm them down a little bit. Was good at the bottom of the 6th. Was good at the bottom of the 7th. Now wants to get the Bombers through the top of the 8th. Pardon me.
Lehner, 3-1 count here. Not really finding the strike zone currently. Pitching away and inside, and that's going to be ball 4 for Mayer here. And now it's going to bring up Alongi as the second batter in this inning with a runner on first base.
Call me WICB's Connor Smith. I feel like the weatherman at this point. I did just see another lightning strike to the northwest. Looked like it was almost in the exact same spot, but you know the adage, lightning doesn't strike the same place twice.
And that's going to be something that's closely monitored here in this inning, as if it gets close enough, this game will be either called or delayed at this point. But now we are here in the top of the 8th with a runner on first base, and Alongi due up.
Pinch runner comes in for Matt Mayer. That is going to be, pardon me, it's number 18. I just had it. I lost track of it. Oh, there it is. Jason Mansell coming in. He's appeared in 27 games this season, batting .275, but he's in as a speed guy, replacing the catcher in Matt Mayer.
And that's going to be a pinch runner there. So now we're going to have a 1-0 count to Alongi, who is already 2 for 3 today with 3 RBIs and a strikeout. And he's going to try to drop down a bunt, but that's going to be foul. And now we're 1-1 in the count. Alongi trying to make something happen here, extend the Brockport lead, or even just play small ball and get that runner over to second base.
Alongi had a heck of a game. Pair of RBI singles. He scored when he was on base for the second one. Obviously hasn't had a perfect game. Ended up getting knocked out in the 6th.
And Lehner's going to throw it over the first base to check on the runner as he's getting even in the count with Alongi. He's getting set for the third pitch of the at-bat here. But the pitch, it's going to be high as Alongi pulls back the bunt, and now it's going to be a 2-1 count.
Laubscher trotted in all the way to the level of the pitcher, ready to field that bunt from the right-hander.
And a big gap on the left field side, too, especially with Laubscher coming up. But that's going to be bunted down the first base side, and Lehner is going to give it to the first baseman for the first out of the inning. And now we are going to have a runner in scoring position.
They take the easy out, but the runner does advance in the form of Mansell, pardon me. I almost wanted to call him Johnny Manziel. You can't do that. That wasn't a baseball player.
And now we're going to have Maher coming up here, who is 0 for 1 today, flied out to center field back in the 5th inning, and he's going to try to do something here with a runner over on second base.
Lehner really able to calm down that last at-bat, knew exactly what he needed to do against a guy who was showing bunt. And pardon me, that's not Colin Lehner anymore, Ryan. We missed something specific. It's been Sean Kelly since the start of this inning. You and I both missed on that one. It's number 13, Sean Kelly. He is another great stabilizing agent in his 16 appearances this year. He's 4-1, 3.08 ERA. He's about as stable gets.
Going from a 12 to 13, it's hard to make out the numbers sometime from up here, especially when they're that similar. And Sean Kelly trying to get through this lineup with a clean 8th inning. Lehner only on 3 days rest and having thrown 2 innings in his last outing was done for the day.
Good to see that everyone is getting the proper amount of rest going into playoffs. Although you don't want to have to use one of your better relievers in Kelly at this point. He's probably only out for this inning.
And that's going to be singled up the middle, and it's going to bring home the first run of the inning, the 7th run of the game for Brockport, and now it's going to be a 7-3 lead.
Great contact from Maher, who was brought into pinch from Graziaplane earlier. He skips that one right off the infield grass. It takes a good bounce as Lightning keeps getting just that little bit closer to the hill.
Inching closer and closer, and you can see the Ithaca dugout coming out. Could be another potential delay situation as the storm's getting closer. It looks like maybe Sean Kelly is done for the day as they take the ball.
And we just got his name right. My goodness.
That's unfortunately on us.
Yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, as Ithaca makes a quick substitution. But you know what? I actually like the move. They didn't want to waste Kelly too much in a game that might already be done in the grand scheme of things.
But now it's going to be number 3 for the Ithaca Bombers here in the top of the 8th inning with a runner over on first base.
That is Dan Kelichan. The last time he was up at Freeman Field here, he ended up giving the game away against Rochester in a game that Ithaca was up by almost double-digit runs. He ended up allowing an 8-run inning.
This is going to be the 5th batter to appear in this game for the Bombers in only the 8th inning. And we just saw another lightning strike over by Cornell. And now we're going to have Dan Kelichan coming up to pitch here.
Now, I have been very critical of Kelichan over his past couple of appearances because I was in person at that Rochester game, but my sources closer to the team say that he is one of the more dependable guys. He is a foxhole guy, someone that you really want when things are tough. So considering they need 2 outs, they've got a guy on first base currently, he could be another guy who was asked just to get us out of this inning. Obviously speaking from the Ithaca Bombers' perspective, get them out of the inning and allow someone else to come in for the 9th and just end the game pretty cleanly.
And Kelichan's going to be coming in here with the top of the order coming up as it turns over with Maher getting on base. Vanziola is due up next as the leadoff hitter. Oh, not the leadoff hitter, but the technical original leadoff hitter of the game. And we're starting to get some raindrops here, Parker.
You feeling some rain? I haven't felt anything yet.
I just felt a drop, but...
if raindrops keep falling on your head, you'll have to let me know.
We're going to be prepared for this as we start to get the plastic bags out just in case to cover up the technology.
Good news is our audio board, pretty simple, pretty archaic. I'm not too worried about the initial raindrops, but I'm starting to see them. So I'm going to close up my laptop. And I think this is going to start picking up pretty quick. I think let's cut our losses. All right, we're going to be told to keep trucking, and I like that decision.
We're going to keep trucking as Kelichan gets his first pitch in there for a strike as Vanziola swings and misses. And now Kelichan getting set for the second pitch of the at-bat here with a runner over on first base, which would be charged to Sean Kelly. Gets that pitch a little away for ball 1, and now in a 1-1 count. Getting set for the pitch. And dribbled over to the third baseman, Lobsher, thrown to first, out there. Runner advances, stays at second base as he was looked back, and now it's going to be 2 outs on the inning. And
I just want to keep giving respect to Fantel at first base. Again, he was not the starter at that position coming into this year, but he just shows such good poise. He was ready to fire at second base, made a great heads-up play there to get that out at first.
And now we're going to be getting Indek up here in the top of the 8th here with 1 run already scored in this inning. Indek already 1 for 2 on the day with a base hit and then caught stealing in the first, struck out in the third, and walked in the 5th.
First pitch is a lovely strike. I think I just saw lightning strike 3 times.
It probably did here, Parker, with this game getting a little windy and the weather starting to get rougher and rougher as we go on. And now with the pitch, a strike in there for strike 2. One of the at bat. Strike 2 of the at bat. The scoreboard is just
a little behind.
Scoreboard a little off here, and 0-2 count now here to Indek. Getting ready for the third pitch of the at bat. A little bit of a lead over there for Maher over at second base. Getting set for a long wait as we get set ready for the third pitch of the at bat. And getting ready for the pitch here. Pitch low and away for ball 1. And things are getting interesting as the wind gets faster and faster as this game goes on, as the storm gets closer and closer to us, Parker.
Another double lightning strike on Cayuga Lake, and I hate to just be the News Watch weather guy, But I also do love to be the Newswatch weather guy, so I'm not going to disparage Newswatch like that.
But that's becoming the story of this game as that throw to second base gets into the outfield, and the runner is going to move over to third now.
Kalichan second-guessed himself on the throw back to the shortstop, Brody. Hung on to it for a second too long, ended up throwing it right past Brody. Ends up giving a free base on a wild check, we'll call it, to Mahar. So he ends up advancing all the way to third. Now with 2 outs, you really need this out across home plate.
And Kalichan here now with a 1-2 count here, and really needs to get the strikeout here as he gets a swing and a miss for strike 3, and that's going to get the Bombers out of the top of the 8th inning, now down 4 runs, 7-3. And they're going to try to get something quickly going here with time running out in this game.
Bottom of the 8th coming up, Ryan. Bombers definitely have the capacity to get it going. They've had giant scoring innings even recently in the season, but with weather on the horizon, you have to wonder if there will even be a 9th inning. So you got to see what you can do right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be key right now, especially with time running out and the bottom of the order starting to come up with Peterson, Scully, and Lobster due up here in this inning.
Not exactly the situation you want to be in with the Bombers. Peterson 0 for 3 so far today. Scully, who I believe we just saw, no, that was the, you'll have to forgive me, that was the Brockport catcher that we just saw get pinched at. It will still be Scully as far as we can tell. Scully, he's 0 for 3 today. Laubscher, he's actually had a really solid day. He is 2 of 3. But Peterson and Scully both need to get it going if they want to be the start to something great for the Bombers today.
Well, as my grandfather used to always says, a walk's as good as a hit, and you just need to find a way on base.
On base percentage, there's the reason that Moneyball is completely built on that.
Exactly. You just want, especially in a game like this where you are down 4, you just really want to get on base here, try and make something happen. If you can't tie the game, the best thing to do is to probably get on base.
Has been a couple minutes since we've seen a lightning strike, so maybe the storm's starting to die down a little bit, but you can see the rain starting to come down across the horizon. It looks like we are in for a pretty heavy storm once it reaches. That being said, it has not quite tagged the South Hill yet. The wind shifting now, blowing towards left field.
Which is the reason they moved up this game in the first place. Originally scheduled for 4 o'clock, moved to 2 o'clock, and if this game had originally went off as planned, we'd be 45 minutes into this game, probably getting put in a rain delay already.
Almost certainly, Ryan.
But they're going to try to finish this game up as there is only an inning and a half remaining unless the Bombers tie it up here. And that pitch was in for strike 1 of the at-bat, now down 0-1 with Peterson up at the plate. Second pitch of the at-bat, Peterson watches low and away for ball 1. Count now even at 1-1. And
I just checked my phone to check the weather, and I have 17 unread emails, Ryan. Not only is there going to be a rain delay, my phone's going to be on delay for a while.
And that ball is put in play over to the shortstop, and an easy 6-3 put out for the first out of the inning.
0 for 4 day for Connor Peterson. Not the career day he's been looking to have at that second base spot. Obviously, he also missed some plays earlier in this game, so it's just been not the ideal for him. The rest of the Bombers, though, have been able to largely pick up the slack. Logan Scully now up to bat.
He's actually going to be pitch hit here by Dadabo, Ethan Dadabo, number 8 for the Bombers.
And he's a guy who is one of the Bombers' go-to pinch hitters in a situation like this. Like I mentioned earlier in today's broadcast, he came in when Camden Laney had to leave with something wrong with his torso. Dadabo did end up playing that entire game. He's the Bombers' number 2 catcher.
Dadabo solid here for the Bombers. Going to try to make something happen. Running out of time, pitch by pitch here as he takes the first pitch for ball 1. Find a way on base is going to be the story of the game at this point for the Bombers. He can't tie it with one swing as he watches for ball 2. Good eye at the plate here by Dadabo as that ball was at his ankles essentially and inside.
You might know this one, Ryan. You're a bit more of an aficionado. The tying run is not on the bubble. He's not on deck. What's the fourth one?
I'm sorry, rephrase that.
Currently on the bench. So the tying run is not currently on deck. He's not on the bubble. He's the next runner after that. Is there a name for that?
Not really at this point in the game.
He's still waiting on the bench.
Yeah, he is still there.
Yeah, he's in the dugout like everyone else.
This game would not be a safe situation by any means yet in the 9th inning. Currently just kind of playing it out down 4 runs. There's no really name for that as Dadabo is now 3-1 in this count.
Took a beautiful pitch inside.
Dadabo getting ready for the 5th pitch of the at-bat. Swings at it, line towards center field, and that's going to be over his head and bounce out of play for a ground rule double, as the double is going to come into second base now.
Beautiful power on that. You're almost upset about the ground rule double, because if that had stayed within the park, I would argue that was a triple, and it looks like they're going to award him the third. No, pardon me. He's just going to drop off the gloves again. That always gets me. When they run off with such passion to drop off their gloves to the third base coach, and I always think they've been given another base. But no, Dabo, the ground rule double, exactly as Ryan called it, but great contact on that. And like I said, if that had stayed in the park, he's got the speed. I think that could have been stretched into 3.
And now you're going to have Lobster coming up here with a runner on second base. Already an RBI today and 2 base hits back in the second and fourth inning. And he's going to try to get his second RBI here in the at-bat. Dabo over on second base as he watches ball 1 go away from the plate. Now 1-0 count after the first pitch of the at-bat here. And the Bombers trying to make something happen here late in the game as this wind picks up and the storm gets closer. And that's ball 2 of the at-bat now to Lobster. 2-0 count here. Something's brewing here with this Bombers lineup. You can see them kind of getting more intense as this game goes on.
Hey, and if there's someone you want to get the party going, today it's been Ryan Lobster, a pair of singles today.
And keep in mind, Brody's up behind him, also 2 for 3 on the day, with a base hit and a 2-base hit.
Lobster in a nice 2-1 count right now with only 1 out on the board.
Lobster getting ready for the 4th pitch of the at-bat here. Swinging the bat well today and gets hit by the pitch. And he's going to go over to first base, unlike Scully, who was pulled back earlier. But now we're going to have runners on first and second.
I almost got a little sassy there. I almost immediately said, oh, didn't lean into that one, did he? I knew it wasn't him, but still, just a call back to an interesting call earlier in the game. But obviously, Lobster gets clearly pinged right in the left thigh there. I almost said calf, but it was his thigh. He takes his base, and that looks like it is going to be the end of the day for Ianello as they get ready to bring in their next reliever, probably their last one on the day. You got a number on him yet, Ryan?
I do not, but it should be coming into view shortly. That is going to be, I believe, number 15, I think.
See, I saw a 15, but I don't see a 15 on their score sheet. So it would be a first appearance.
It's going to be number 54, Park.
54?
45, sorry.
Oh,
Thomas DiGirolamo.
Yeah, Girolamo. Yep, that is going to be Thomas DiGirolamo.
DiGirolamo is up here for Brockport in this inning as the wind picks up and almost blows everything away off this table.
Wind picking up as DiGirolamo gets himself warmed up. He's had 7 appearances so far this year, has recorded a win, a 4.35 ERA in his 10 1/3 innings pitched. Only allowed 4 hits, but has given up 5 earned runs, which means once we get over there, he does tend to walk a couple batters. He's recorded 6 of those, but 14 strikeouts, Ryan. So he can be deadly when he gets it going. He is in a low leverage situation with 2 runners on and a singular out, but at least they're not his responsibility.
Exactly, and this is the position that the Bombers were looking for. Now the tying run is going to be on deck here with Riley Brody coming up to the plate, Colin Feeney on deck. And as we mentioned earlier, I think if any Bomber is going to come up to at bat, Colin Feeney's probably going to have the biggest chip on his shoulder of them all.
Colin Feeney's angry, and if you are able to get Brody safely on base, then barring a double play, you're guaranteed Ethan McDonough, who has already gone yard today, and with the wind picking up again, that could be his friend.
And Brody, keep in mind, is already 2 for 3 on the day with a double and a single. So this at-bat will be interesting for DiGirolamo, who is going to be facing his first batter soon, who is kind of the hot hand today for the Bombers.
Absolutely correct. This bottom of the lineup, about as deadly as they come. We've talked about the fact that Brody could be a leadoff hitter in a lot of systems, is a very effective player, and he's in this 9 spot because he ends up driving a lot of guys in. He can be just such a great team player. He's a senior for the Bombers.
And this is going to be a huge at-bat here for Brody, arguably the biggest at-bat of the game to this point for the Bombers, as he gets ready for the first pitch of the at-bat, stepping into the batter's box.
Brody, a lot of pressure on his shoulders right now to end up advancing the runners and keep himself in this game.
First pitch in there for a strike 1. And the Bombers dugout is not happy with that pitch. But I don't think they would be happy with any pitch unless it was a base hit or a ball.
Ooh, looks like a warning from the ump going to the third base coach, who points at himself and says, "Who, me?" So a little bit of chirping from the entirety of the Bombers team. They really feel like they have a shot in this game with only 1 out and 2 runners on.
And now the Bombers base runners starting to take their lead with runners at first and second. Only 1 out in the inning. Brody here on the plate. Strike 2 called there as Brody, like most of the Bombers batters, hovers the plate very closely. So anything on the inside is usually tough for them to hit there.
A little bit too patient from Brody, as he is in just about the worst count you can be in.
0-2 count here. Pitch number 3. Dribbled over towards the first baseman, and he's going to give it to the pitcher for the first out of the inning as the runners advance to second and third, now in scoring position, with the top of the order coming up and Colin Feeney at the plate.
Great hustle from DiGirolamo. That could have been a clean play for everybody. That could have been a bunt that got Brody all the way to the base. Now he advances the runners 2 on scoring position. The tying run is still on deck, but the Bombers have put themselves finally in a position where you feel like something could get going, especially with Colin Feeney, who is due for a hit.
And now Feeney's going to be up here with 2 outs. Runners on second and third in scoring position. And he's going to watch that first pitch go by for a strike as it would caught the inside of the plate. And Feeney, like we mentioned, is really wants to make something happen here. Got on base in the first of an error, stole a base, walked in the 5th, struck out in the 2nd, and lined out back in the 7th.
And a reminder that he was driven in on that walk in the 5th by the Ethan McDonough home run, who is currently warming up just outside the Bombers' dugout.
Now fouls off a pitch to put himself in an 0-2 count here with 2 outs.
Another 0-2 count for DiGirolamo. Credit to him for coming in a tough situation and throwing what is basically 5 straight strikes now.
Feeney looking to make something happen here as time running short and pops it up to the third base side. Should be playable if they can get there, but it was hit into no man's land, and Feeney's going to get another chance at this.
Hey, and you tire out the third baseman if you can help it. Try to drill something right around him the very next play. I don't think it would be that effective, but if you could pick where you're hitting it.
And we're running short on time here for the Bombers. 4 outs remaining, but Feeney gets another chance at this at bat because he hit that ball into pretty much no man's land. As the third baseman was the closest one to get there all the way towards the end of the left field. And with the left fielder playing almost towards left center, it's going to be pretty hard to get there.
0-2 pitch.
High for ball 1. Now a 1-2 pitch coming, 1-2 in the count here to Feeney.
I believe that is DiGirolamo's first ball.
I think you may be right, Parker, with a 1-2 count here, as I think he just cruised by with only a couple pitches to Brody. And now 1-2 count here, 2 outs. Runners on second and third. Feeney up at the plate. Swung at, line towards right field. Is that going to be playable? And it should be, and that's going to be the final out of the inning. And when we come back here in the top of the 9th, it's going to be the middle of the Brockport order. We'll be right back.
Back here on Freeman Field, Parker Holland and Ryan Collins. It's the top of the 9th inning. Bombers are down 7-3 to Brockport and the Golden Eagles, who have just put together a really solid day in what has been a bullpen game for both teams. Bombers sending back out Dan Kellichin, who allowed a run last inning but still has been overall pretty solid. Colin Feeney, the story of today's game, had a pair of errors and nearly had enough contact to bring the Bombers within a run in his last at-bat that ended the past inning. It ended up being just short. He threw his helmet against the ground, clearly very frustrated with himself this game, Ryan.
Yeah, and now it's going to be a huge inning for Brockport. We're going to try to maybe extend the lead, get a few more insurance run here in the top of the ninth with Eldred, Blake, and Story up here as the first three batters in the ninth.
I almost wanted to call Eldred the perfect leadoff hitter. He's just the perfect anything hitter. He draws walks, he hits home runs, he does whatever you need him to do. So I would never count him out. And against Kellichin, he's had, nothing special today. He's 0 for 4, he's 1 for 4, but he's still dangerous as he takes the first pitch for a strike.
He would actually be 1 for 3, Parker, as he did walk. I was looking at injured. You are correct. Sorry, Parker.
No, you're all good.
He's 1 for 4 of 2 strikeouts.
Swings on that one. It's going to be for strike 2. He's been aggressive today, and that's exactly what you want out of a power hitter. Like, no matter what you like, what you don't like, you always want Zach Eldred to be aggressive because there's a pretty good chance, there's a better than 50% chance that he's going to smoke something.
Yeah, and the better than 50% chance he's going to hit something hard, and an even higher chance he's going to get on base.
As he swings, and that is deep into right field. It looks like it's got the distance, and it's going to be well out of here. Solo home run for Zach Eldred to extend the Brockport lead to 8-3. Exactly like we said, the power to do some damage at any given time. A beautiful, that looked like it went 400 feet into right field.
He smoked that one,
as Brockport comes out to cheer for him, he did smoke it, Ryan.
That one was long gone into the street there, essentially, for the Bombers, way over the right field fence.
I thought the angle was a bit too steep, but, man, you could just see it as soon as it came off the bat. It had so much carry to it.
That's something that would make Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso proud.
Absolutely correct in there, as up comes Kyle Blake, who also, nothing crazy today, a pair of outs, 1 strikeout looking. He had a single last time he was up in the 7th inning.
And that's going to be strike 2 of the at-bat here. Excuse me, strike 1 of the at-bat.
Yeah. My pen decides to stop working all of a sudden, but I know that was a home run. You know that was a home run. Scorebook doesn't need to know it. Kellichin delivers on 1-1. That is smoked to left field. It gets down just in time. That'll be a base hit. He'll sit at 1, will Kyle Blake. And back-to-back hits, surrendered by Dan Kellichin.
And, Parker, I'm going to take your job here. We can start to see some more lightning coming in the distance, starting to inch a little closer here and over from the left field side.
And my pen appears to have completely quit its day job. We're good. We don't need to write anything anymore. We know who the players are, hopefully.
We got this covered, Parker.
Unless they decide to pinch 3 more guys, which I fully believe they could. As that pitch to Jones Story is inside for ball 1.
Anything can happen here in the 9th inning, Parker.
That is absolutely correct, Ryan, especially considering how on the bats have been for Brockport. Second pitch low for ball 2. And Kellichin
just struggling
not wanting to throw strikes anymore, but you can't just throw balls either.
I mean, when he's in the strike zone, he's been getting roughed up a little bit so far in this inning, so I don't know how much I'd want to put pitches in the strike zone at the moment.
No clear solution, as that is swung on and fouled away to put Story in a 2-1 count.
Bombers running out of time here, now falling behind even further. 5 runs in the top of the 9th. And down to 3 outs once they get the ball back, but still have to find a way through this inning with no outs and a runner on first.
Kellichin delivers. That is swung on, and that is going to be smoked right to second base. Double play, in play. First one's out, second one's out. A great delivery by Connor Peterson, who has not had a great day behind the bat, but he delivered that beautifully to the glove of Brody, got on base just in time to deliver it to Fantel. About as perfect a double play as you're ever going to see. That is the Bombers' second double play of the day that they've been able to turn against these Brockport Golden Eagles. And that turns a rough situation for Kellichin into actually a pretty high leverage spot with 2 outs.
And now you're going to have Dixon coming up here, who is 1 for 3 on the day with a walk.
Last time Dixon was up, he ended up striking out and ending an inning, I believe.
Dixon grounded out back in the 7th last time
How
he was
dare
up.
I? Swung on. That's going into right center field. But right there in time is going to be McDonough. He couldn't make it to the home run, but he can get the final out of the 9th inning on the solo home run from Zach Eldred. The Golden Eagles extend their lead to 8-3 as more lightning is striking over Cayuga Lake. I hope you can see it on the camera because it's really quite pretty. But that being said, the Bombers, Ryan, you touched on it, a 5-run mountain to climb. As everyone is discussing whether this game needs to continue being played, the umps and coaches are starting to check up on things. But the Golden Eagles do send back out their rosters just to be safe.
It looks like they're going to be taking the field here. Maybe just getting some lineup changes to find out where all the pinch hitters and runners are going for this lineup.
Everything looks pretty normal so far, but in fairness, the only one I saw was Ryan Blake going back to left field, and he's been there all day.
Take a look around the field just to make sure everyone is in the right place.
And I've got my roster open if you see anything crazy. But it will be Thomas G. Girolamo staying out there to pitch. He was absolutely magnificent as soon as he came out for the Golden Eagles.
The Bombers now getting ready for the bottom of the 9th inning. Like you said, Parker, 5 runs needed here in this 9th inning. It's going to be a huge spot for every at-bat's going to be of the utmost importance if the Bombers want to claw back in this game.
So far, from the numbers I'm seeing, nothing too suspicious out in the field for Brockport. The one change that we would expect would be that catcher change, obviously. Mansell has been out there for 2 innings catching for Brockport. And then the other pinch that we've obviously seen would be Mahar, but he's been is the designated hitter. So nothing else really expected right now unless they pull one of their pinches. But now up to bat for the Bombers, Ethan McDonough. He hit a home run in the 5th, but other than that, he is struck out and flown out. Most recently flown out in the 7th. He represents the first run that the Bombers would need of 5 to get back into this game.
Key spot here in this game for the Bombers. Every at-bat, so important.
As he takes strike 1 right down the middle, the Lightning ebbing ever closer. It almost feels like we're in the eye right now, Ryan, because the wind just died for a solid minute. But now it starts blustering a little bit as McDonough has to deal with an 0-1 pitch.
McDonough, one of the best on-base percentages in the Liberty League.
As he takes strike 2 right down the middle.
If there was ever a time to get on base, now would be the time.
Di Girolamo, his 3rd time getting himself into an 0-2 count.
Rain getting closer and closer.
That one skipped off the dirt for ball 1. Good patience from McDonough. I don't want to report every time there's a lightning strike, but I am just tempted. It brings up some energy in me.
I just heard a report. That's the only reason I mentioned it. But
oh, no, I just saw another one. I wasn't commenting on you. I was commenting on, I keep seeing lightning every time I look up.
We also side job as weathermen sometimes, apparently.
Absolutely correct. Di Girolamo, that pitch is deflected off down the left field line, but it's going to be foul. And we hear the thunder.
That was a loud lightning strike.
Counted. That was a good 15 seconds, so it does mean the Lightning's still a good deal away.
And you could see kind of all the umpires and players look around just to make sure they weren't going to get the tarp on the field.
And that pitch is high and inside, and the count goes full for McDonough. He has been battling, gets out of the 0-2 spot, and now, all of a sudden, it's a full one. McDonough, he's been in this situation plenty of times, one of the Bombers' most experienced hitters. He's got that power behind him. But here is Di Girolamo's payoff pitch. Swung on, it's going to be fouled towards us, and we're going to do it all again once that ball hits the ground.
Next time, Parker, I want to see a diving stop from you over here in foul territory.
Absolutely correct. I could get in the way. Our lovely producer, Justin Antonucci, he's getting the plastic bags out as this storm ebbs ever closer. But regardless, the 7th pitch of the at-bat coming for Di Girolamo towards Ethan McDonough, pardon me.
McDonough fighting back from an 0-2 count here.
McDonough watches ball 4. Oh, the scoreboard was incorrect, pardon me. It is now a full count. It was 2-2 before. Either the scoreboard or the ump was wrong. I'm going to err on the side of scoreboard. Now the count goes full. More impressive that McDonough's kept himself alive this long. Now the payoff as he watches ball 4. And this time, McDonough will take his base. And the Bombers' momentum started with a walk.
And Parker, you were just predicting the future there as McDonough finds his way onto first base, fighting back from an 0-2 count.
I have been known as a bit of a commentator's cursor. Good to see that I can do some good in the community.
Now we're going to have Laney coming up here, and he is 1 for 4 on the day with a 2-base hit back in the 5th inning.
He had a lovely double back in the 5th, but he did strike out looking in the 7th. Now he watches the first pitch hit the dirt right in front of him for ball 1.
And a runner on base, so he can make something happen here, but still need to at least load the bases to get a home run would put them in within 1 at that point.
DiGirolamo had just walked his 7th batter of the season, but now with 2 balls immediately thrown towards Laney, his catcher's going to come out and have a quick talk with him about the way that this is starting to unfold and starting to slip away from him a little bit.
A little bit of stretching over in the Brockport bullpen, but this is going to be DiGirolamo's problem for now.
Yeah, a pair of pitchers warming up as Mansell comes to try and calm down the pitcher that Brockport was hoping to close the day with. But now, Laney in a great count, and he might have full permission to unload on this thing if he gets a good opportunity. The 2-0 pitch. Low and outside for ball 3. And now a great spot for Laney. Now, Ryan, I want to know your opinion on this one. You're in a 3-0 count. You are a good hitter. Do you green light or do you wait for patience on the 3-0 pitch?
I think in this situation, you are going to wait for patience. You can't tie the game here. You're going to take the pitch and try to get more base runners on.
I love it. There is no 5-run play as he watches ball 4 cross the plate a little bit low. And just like you said, Ryan, Camden Laney takes his base on balls, the second consecutive walk issued by DiGirolamo.
And now you're going to get Fantel up here, who's having a solid day with 1 for 3 on the day with a base hit in the 7th inning. Also walked back in the 3rd. It's going to be a key at bat here for him.
Fantel, the slugging first baseman, has earned his spot in this lineup as an underclassman. Now he has an opportunity with 2 runners on to keep the momentum going for the Bombers. No outs. What do you got? Fantel watches ball 1 go high and outside. It tried to drop into the strike zone at the last minute, had a little too much elevation on it.
Every Bombers dugout getting really involved in this game. You can hear them at every pitch yelling at the top of their lungs.
Hey, they knew they weren't dead. They've got the bats to prove it. One of the most consistent offensive teams in the Liberty League as Fantel watches strike 1 cross the plate. But they knew they were still alive in this game. 5 runs. They've scored 5 runs in an inning before.
That's also the first strike thrown in 7 pitches, Parker.
Thank you for keeping track of that. I did not notice that. Is that A&M who does the great chants of the ongoing ball count?
I believe so.
As that is dealt into the dirt for ball 2, and Fantel's got a 2-1 batter's count to play with.
Now a 2-1 count here. Fantel, again, it's one of those things. Is he going to be trying to swing away in a 2-1 count here? Probably, but you're also going to be a little more hesitant as you still need more base runners.
Fantel's got the power to clear the bases, but the patience to take the walk. The 2-1 pitch, he swings on it. The steal's going to 3rd, but he's caught. And that's going to turn into an out for the Bombers. And what was an absolutely excellent position for them turns into a rougher one as the count goes to 2-2, and McDonough is caught trying to steal 3rd. They thought that they could get one over.
McDonough also seemingly limping off the base paths, hobbling over into the dugout, seems to have hurt his toe, I believe, and that's what he was pointing at to the 3rd base coach.
Some form of a lower leg injury to McDonough. We'll keep you posted on that with what we can see as he has helped towards the ATs. But the 5th pitch of the at-bat is dealt to Fantel, and the count will go full with a runner in scoring position in all the hubbub. We did miss, Camden Laney. I almost tried to read his name backwards. Camden Laney advancing to 2nd on a steal as Fantel does take ball 4 using that developed patience, and he takes the base. And now we're right back where we started, only there's 1 extra out on the board.
Parker, I don't understand trying to steal a base there. I get it. Maybe you have some speed and you can steal bases. But the problem with that is you're not a tying run. You're not even a winning run. You're not even going to get them within 1. And the bottom of the 9th inning, down 5 runs, and you have one of your best hitters at the plate. I feel like you have to let them work their magic. Don't try to force anything, especially because now you created an unnecessary out in the bottom of the ninth.
I absolutely respect the decision and the aggression that it takes to do that, especially you would assume that they'd be thinking the same way, that Brockport would be thinking the exact same train of thought. There's no way they steal here because they need the extra runs. So that could be a great opportunity, but at the same time, it ends up being a major blunder. I think it's a coin flip of a call in terms of whether you do it or not. It was not a coin flip as to whether he was out. That was a great play by the catcher from Brockport to get the play out at third. Ended up being a tough sequence for the Bombers, but they end up exactly where they were, as now Brockport ends up bringing in a fresh arm in the form of Bryce Tyndall.
And this is going to be a huge at bat, but I do also want to notice one thing before we go into a little bit of Bryce Tyndall. It's that McDonough, not only did he create an out, he also seemingly ended up getting a little hurt on that play. But now it's Tyndall. He is 0-1 on the year so far, 4.35 ERA, 10 strikeouts, and 1.65 hits per inning pitched.
Pretty good for only 7 appearances on the season. 10 strikeouts, you pointed out, I absolutely love. Only walking 4 batters. That's what you want to see if you're Brockport, because you have walked a lot of the last batters you've faced in the last 2 innings. That is the kind of momentum reset that you need. You hopefully get to slow this game down just enough to close out the win. You're still not in the save situation, though, so no spot for glory for Tyndall. Just a whole lot of spot for disappointment if he messes up.
Yeah, it's going to take another batter or two before you get into a save situation here. But I also want to point Tyndall hasn't appeared in about a week. He had a good inning against St. John Fisher a week ago, and now he's going to be put in a fairly tough spot here today with 2 runners on.
He gets to face, at the very least, he has to face Matt Curtis and Connor Peterson. Curtis obviously has had a pretty solid day, had a double and scored in the 2nd inning. Peterson, been quiet all day long, would love to have an opportunity for redemption in a tough spot.
And Curtis in a huge spot here, 2 runners on, already 1 out in the inning. Running out of time, Bombers down to their last 2 outs.
Here's the first pitch from Tyndall. It is dropped by the catcher, but it is across the plate for strike 1.
And like you mentioned, Curtis having a solid day so far at the plate. And it's going to be a very important bat right now. Try to give the baton to the next batter.
Tyndall, a very thorough throwing motion.
Oh!
Throws right at the head of Matt Curtis. He runs up immediately to check on the batter. That ball clearly got away from him. I think Curtis got away from it. It did not sound like it actually hit him. But my goodness, a terrifying moment for Matt Curtis. That looked like it was going right at his head.
And you could see Tyndall feel terrible as he ran right over to Matt Curtis just to check on him. And you're right, Parker, he did get out of the way in time as he dropped down to the floor.
But my goodness, you could hear him hit the deck there. Just a scary moment all around. Good sportsmanship from Tyndall, making sure everyone was okay, as this time he delivers outside for ball 2.
And I do want to note, on that play, the runners advanced to second and third base, taking away the double play.
You almost don't want to comment on the potential psychological advantage of a pitcher who does feel bad about just throwing at a guy's head. But at the same time, it is something that Ithaca manages to take advantage of. They are now in a good position with Curtis in a good count. As that one goes low for ball 3, and now Curtis in a great count to potentially take another base on balls.
And you can also note the psychological advantage the pitcher may get having almost hit a batter in the head, because it's not something that's spoken about too much, but that's got to put a little fear into the batter's head, because you don't want to get hit in the first place, and to get hit in the head is terrible.
Luckily, no one hurt in that sequence. Now we have the 3-1 pitch with runners on second and third. Not swung on. It's called a strike, barely inside, and once again, Ryan, we've talked about it a bit. The fact that these Ithaca batters stand so close to the plate, that inside pitch, he thought it was a ball. It ended up just crossing the plate perfectly. And
those inside pitches seem to be their Achilles heel, as if you can get it inside, it's almost in their hands, and there's not much they can do with it.
Payoff pitch for Tyndall is dealt into shallow right field. It is caught cleanly by Story in right field, and none of the batters are able to tag in time. Laney did tag and thought about going, but he did not take off all the way, thanks to a very well-fielded ball by Story out in that right field side. Ends up getting nothing from Curtis. Curtis gets a ball thrown at his head and nothing else.
It looked like Laney tried to draw a throw there to see if he can maybe draw a wild throw and score, but the throw is pretty good to the pitcher, and no harm, no foul. He stays on third base.
Tying run remains on the bubble with runners on second and third, and it's going to be a quick meeting at the bump for Bryce Tyndall, as up to bat is going to be Connor Peterson. No pinch hitter for him after being 0 for 4 so far today.
Correction, he did have a two-base hit in his last at bat back in the eighth inning.
Was that not Dadabo?
Oh, you're right. Excuse me, you're right. That was Dadabo.
Just wanted to clarify. We're all good. Connor Peterson 0 for 4 today, 3 groundouts and a line out. Has not been his day so far, but again, the statistics do say he is due for something, and he could be due for something big with runners on second and third.
As you're right, because about 270 batting average to equate to about 1 hit every 4 at-bats, and he's 0 for 4, so a 1 for 5 would be perfect for that.
If he can get out of his own head, Tyndall has shown that he will throw you something just wild enough that you can make something happen with it.
Tyndall kind of scaring off batters here a little bit so far in this outing.
Tyndall, first pitch to Peterson is a little bit inside. That one called for ball 1.
And we have crossed the 3-hour threshold in this game so far at 3 hours and 20 minutes, Parker.
Definitely a bit of an elongated game, but that's Ithaca baseball for you. They get to stretch it out a little bit. No pitch clock here at the D3 level, and whether that's for better or worse, anybody's guess. 1-1 count as Tyndall delivers strike 1.
I wouldn't say these pitchers are dragging on their at-bats too much, though. Typically getting the pitches over within a reasonable time. I think it's more the 12 hits for the Brockport and 9 for the Bombers that's dragging on this game.
You're probably right, but we have seen a lot of checking in at first base with some steal-happy guys as well. So a lot of stoppages all around in this game. A lot of good action, though. We hope you've enjoyed. It's been an absolute pleasure with 2 outs. But now Peterson finds himself in a 2-1 count. Batters count with runners on second and third. Tyndall delivers, and he hits Peterson. This time there is no faking it out. There's no getting out of the way. Peterson is drilled in his left shoulder.
And that's going to load the bases here, Parker, putting the tying run on deck. So the next batter up would be the tying run with 2 outs, though, in the bottom of the ninth.
Ethan Dadabo, the catcher who came in to pinch for Logan Scully, and that is going to be probably the end of the day as the coach comes out for SUNY Brockport. That will end the day definitively for Bryce Tyndall. He ends up walking a couple of batters, allowing nothing too special, but they're going to try to bring in someone to close out this game in what has become a very scary situation. There are 2 outs on the board, but coming in.
And that's going to be number 21, Parker, Troy Labert, and he has been phenomenal this year. A 1.93 ERA, 11 strikeouts, and 1.97 walk and hits per innings pitched.
7 appearances equating to only 9 1/3 innings pitched. This is the exact situation you're trying to use him in. He hasn't earned a save yet this season, and he's not in an opportunity to right now. But at the same time, this is the kind of spot that you have been throwing him in.
One more runner would have to reach base for this to be considered a save situation, I believe.
Absolutely. With the bases loaded, 2 outs.
Correction, it is already a save situation. Oh, no, never mind. I'm sorry. It is not.
You're all right. Don't worry.
I had it right the first time.
Yeah. Stick to your guns. But regardless, we are going to see Liebert taking on Dadabo, as we just said, a meeting amongst the infield and outfield as they get ready for, hopefully, to celebrate another win to close out what has been a historic season for these Golden Eagles. We haven't talked about it a lot. They are 33-2 on the season, 19-1-1 in conference. Absolutely electrifying all season. About as good a record as you can see. They're 11-1 on home field. They're 9-1-2 when they're away. It's been one of the best seasons in program history, Ryan, and you can equate it to what we've seen today, which are bats that'll force people to make mistakes with their power.
Exactly, Parker. The Bombers have been great this year, and that is due to their offense. They've had one of their best seasons in program history, like you said, and it's the offense.
Absolutely correct. Brockport has been great. They've been able to carry the momentum. Ithaca, as we've said before, 22-12 on the year, 14-5 in conference. They had already clinched hosting a playoff series earlier this week by beating Hobart in the final series of the season. But now they were hoping to get something going. They're still in an opportunity to, as Dadabo finally gets ready to take the plate against Troy Liebert.
And Dadabo really trying to put the hammer down, try to get that tying run up to the plate.
When he came in to pitch before, he had an absolutely thunderous hit right to center field. It was a ground rule double. As he takes the first pitch outside for ball 1, great patience from the junior catcher.
Lobster on deck over there as the tying run in this game, desperately trying to get on deck.
Dadabo sits on that one. That is ball 2, and he finds himself in a great count immediately, even with 2 outs.
And Dadabo, it's definitely got to be the coaching method that these Bombers hover over the plate like this.
Bombers dugout is loud as Dadabo takes strike 1. He has not even tried to swing at something yet, not even faking it out. I think he thinks he can maybe draw a walk out of Liebert. watches that ball come across the plate for ball 3. The catcher checks up on Laney, who is getting aggressive at third base, but obviously he's not going to try anything too funny.
At this point, you don't want to make another out on the base paths, as McDonough did earlier in this inning.
Dabo watches strike 2 across the plate. He still has not swung at anything, and the count goes full. 2 outs, bases loaded. This is about the most tension that can be on a singular pitch. As Dabo swings on that and fouls it away, he fights it off. 6th pitch of the at-bat, 7th coming.
The merry-go-round was in motion there on the pitch with 2 outs and a full count here, as you saw all the runners taking a long lead as this final out is in play.
Pitches away, payoff pitch. Dabo swings on it. It gets away. It's caught in the left field side. The play is made by Blake. Dabo gets great contact. It does not quite move away from the left fielder. And your final score will be Brockport Golden Eagles 8, Ithaca Bombers 3. And Ryan, a great effort from the Bombers, especially at the end. They worked themselves into a really tight situation where they could have put themselves in a spot to tie the game. Can't quite get it done. It ends up being a pretty disappointing loss. What are your takeaways going into the playoffs this weekend?
The Bombers need to clean up the fielding a little bit heading into this weekend. Those errors kind of cost them in this game, took away a lot of momentum that they had, and if they can clean up, they will have, I could say, a lot of luck in this crossover series coming up.
There's a lot of weather coming to town this weekend, so the wind, especially on the South Hill, is not something that you're not exactly used to. You know that there's going to be weather around here. You've got to be ready for it. You've got to train for it. There were a lot of fielding mistakes, but for me, I am worried about the scoring, the left on base. I want to know what the actual final left on base number was. I'm going to look after the game because it felt like the Bombers stranded a lot of guys. It felt like they left a lot out there today.
Yeah, they definitely did leave a lot of runners on base. I mean, 3 alone in the bottom of that 9th inning with a tying run on deck.
Absolutely, but at the same time, I think Coach Valicente did a pretty good job managing what was a bullpen game where you weren't expecting a whole lot out of your pitchers. I think your bats did come alive when they needed to at certain points. I think the outlook is still positive for the Bombers, but as we get ready to wrap up, your final score, 8-3, Golden Eagles over the Ithaca Bombers. For Ryan Collins, I've been Parker Hollander. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ithaca College Athletics Stream. We'll see you next time.